think by now, if you were me, you'd have seen an awful lot of trailers, lots of programs about the trailers, an awful lot of theories already discussed. And you've got your ideas, you've got your hopes, your fears, and your own theories. We have the advantage that we have had time to think, ponder, and reflect, and not rush to grab viewers with half-baked ideas. Oh no, we've spent days to come up with our half-baked ideas. But this isn't, I was going to say, isn't this the fun of being a Doctor Who fan? That, you know, this is what you do. You make up theories, you find little half seconds somewhere, you find a clue. Now, you've seen my thumbnail. You've seen what I'm hinting at here. I'm going to lead with SUTEKH returns. That's my big theory. I'll explain it straight away. I won't tease you. You'll also hear tonight, Ruby is a space baby. Ruby does not exist and never did. The monk is back. I am the time muddler, and as Garbage said, you know, I've got to plug it. Ruby has to be reborn. The 14th Doctor is the Valeyard. Right, does that get you salivating? I hope so. Right, let's get the crew in because they've all been sponsoring this version. So, hello, John.
Hello, how are you?
You're bringing the Cybermasters back for that here, I think.
You will be like us.
That's it. So, you've got theories. Here's Rachel. Hello, hello.
Hello.
Yeah, you only give me 2 theories. No, we were discussing loads of theories, weren't we?
We were chucking it around.
We were. I was in the back, by the way, Rachel, when that was happening. But
okay.
There you go. There you go. Now, theories you can't switch off. Hiya, Cinnamon.
Hello, hello all.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you had 90 minutes off when Middlesbrough actually decided to win a match, and so we didn't have to think of theories then.
Well, there is that. There's always that.
And here's Brandon as well. Hello.
Hey. Beg your pardon. Hello, darling. But it's B you're talking to. What's up, everybody? Brendan, you're always doing some crap to make me laugh in the back, so I don't have it together by the time you bring me back. Bring me out. John got me with the Cyberman thing. I was losing it.
I thought you meant all my mistakes. I always make a mistake. Anyway, Rachel's got her own channel. There it is. It looks like a long one, but it actually makes sense, doesn't it? You just say it slowly, chat about it, don't shout about it.
Yeah, closing in on what, Rachel? 550, 600 subs, growing.
Yeah, she's pioneering the way. She shows us how it's done.
Dominion overall.
Thank you.
And then we've got Brandon's got his culture pop.
Then we have the bargain basement southern version. But
check it out, it's good. It is really good.
Yeah, and I haven't got your thing up here, Cinnamon, but go on, shout out your channel as well, because you've just started one, haven't you?
I'm afraid that's not good enough. All the time and effort I put into this channel to put up with you, Brendan, and this is the treatment I get. Goodness me.
I can't put Borough Lad at Borough Lad. No, Cinnamon, go on. It's T. Is it with just a T?
I think. Or the at handle, I think it's just CT Crunch, but you can type in Cinnamon Toast Crunch and it should come up the same. I did that video, the breakdown. I didn't do another breakdown of the trailer because I thought.
Yeah, I watched your trailer breakdown of that other one and liked it.
I just thought a lot of the stuff in this trailer was the exact same as the one in the last trailer, so I didn't think it was worth it. Plus, I'd be on this, so I didn't really need to do it again, to be honest. But and that's got nearly 200 views or just short under it, which I'm, again. For a channel with 60 subscribers to get a 200 view video, I'm all right with that.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, it's great.
Right then, so I've offered, I've teased people all day with SUTEKH's returning, so honestly, I can't delay on that. And then they can decide how mad I was and whether I was on medication. So let's have a look. This is the first one. So, I think it's fair. I'm advertising our trailer theory, and I can't just make you wait half a night. But all our panelists have got loads of ideas, but I'll start with this one to be fair to our viewers. So here we go, and I'll just get us all in view and all the rest of it. So there we go. This is, let me just take you through this one because I've got it all nicely set out for all our viewers. Right. You know that RTD wants to go big time on fantasy, ghouls, beasties and creatures released by Wild Blue Yonder's use of salt. Yep. So we need a feared, omnipowerful, malevolent villain or beast from decades ago, says RTD, said it in an interview ages ago that it's something from decades ago. So a lot of us have said, is it a Guardian, like the Black Guardian? Is it the Eternals? Is it the Valeyard? Is it the Master, the Monk, the Rani, Omega, Razalon? No, we know. I've gone for SUTEKH, and why? So let me take you through. The first thing is, if you all remember the giggle, the toy maker, because I thought, wouldn't you bring Neil Patrick Harris back? He's a good actor. You've brought the toy maker, use him again. No, because the toy maker said in that middle one there, there's only one player I did their face. And he says in the final one, the one who waited. So there's somebody bigger than the toy maker. So it's not the toy maker. So bye-bye, toy maker. Your day is done. Then we go back to, as we know, the Star Beast, and Beep the Meep said he would tell his boss about this rarity of a person with two hearts. Now, is it some collector of exhibits, some curator, some person who needs entertainment by capturing a Time Lord? It's somebody very, very, very powerful. So we've got the boss and we've got somebody who's more powerful than the toy maker. Now, the one who waits I find interesting because that means that whoever this person is, they have a lot of patience. They've been trapped for a long time before, maybe. Pyramids of Mars, sitting on that little chair, you know, with that hand up his bum. Remember that awkward hand from the stage hand? Yeah. That was the only thing that kept him company. It could have been Sooty, couldn't it? But no, it wasn't. It was just a hand. So SUTEKH is patient. Right, let's carry on. I've got plenty. John, you mentioned this in our earlier season review and you went mad about the pit, and I kept trying to find in my 2000 slides where I had the pit, and it was right under my nose all the time. There's the Satan pit possibly, but we all know that Satan, Set, SUTEKH are all names for the same thing. Okay, let's just go with this for a bit longer. So the pit is back, and we saw, and actually I'll come back to it later. Right, next one. And then we saw the whole idea of the Armageddon of London. No, that's not how it looks now.
Give it a couple of years.
It does look a bit better, but you know, I think by the time, if we continue as we are, it might look like that. So anyway, so there you go. There's London for you in the future. Armageddon, the end of time, as it were. And that picture, I know a lot of Doctor Who fans will be going, hold on a minute. We've seen that before, when obviously we had good old Tom Baker explaining to Sarah Jane, if SUTEKH isn't stopped, he'll destroy the world. And of course, we had this magic moment. There's 1984 if you want to get off, Sarah. And she had a good look and decided it's best to get back inside because he had central heating on. Because in those days, there was no cost of living crisis. So back in the TARDIS he goes. And that tells me one thing, particularly RTD has got Pyramids of Mars on his mind. So we've got an all-pervasive being. We've got somebody bigger than the toy maker. We've got the Satan pit, as it were. And we've got the same scene that's going to be shown as it was in that trailer. And it's going to be seen in our next series. So we've got the Armageddon and all the devastation. Who could cause such devastation? Well, I know there's a few in the Who-niverse, but SUTEKH is definitely one of them. He is definitely one of them because he's threatened so well. And actually, the Fourth Doctor was pretty scared of him, I have to say. If you look at every villain all Doctors have faced, the fear in Tom Baker's eyes on that one. Okay, so there's that. And then, of course, let's look at how did it end, though, because how can you bring somebody back? I know in Doctor Who you bring people back all the time, but let's have a look at this. So, of course, when he dismissed him at the end of episode 4 in Pyramids of Mars, how long do you live? And he worked out in the end, it's about 7,000 years. You're caught in eternity. You're 1,000 years beyond the 20th century now. And he kept pushing him further and further and further. And in the end, he was gone. And he said to Sarah, he's about 7,000 years old. I moved a time tunnel into the future. He'd never reach the end, he says. I have to say, if that's the resolution to this all-powerful being, it's a bit uncertain that he's really gone. He's just not right in front of them, that's all. There's no death, you know? Yeah, so I'm thinking, aye. And look at the devastation in the trailer. Look at the devastation that is threatened. This is all plague and pestilence. This is all Old Testament. This is Moses and all the rest of it. This is the big stuff, I think. And then, of course, some of the dialogue. This is what we're trying to stop, Ruby. All of life being extinguished. Extinguished. I mean, how big are we going here? How powerful is this beastie? So I'm sticking with SUTEKH on that one because he is a god after all. And of course, he will have maybe been released from that strange time tunnel of eternity because, of course, the salt in the Wild Blue Yonder has changed everything. And of course, there's the chance to come back. And it's not on the right side. It's a slide for something else. There's a storm coming. You've got the good old dialogue. There's a storm coming, you know, chaos ahead. And this bit, it's from the right-hand side. I will shatter this silly little battlefield into dust, says the doctor. So he's talking big. This is alpha male talking to alpha male. It's that kind of talk, isn't
Brandon,
it? Yeah.
I think you could take him.
I'm up for it. I might even start a rowing machine again. Right, so the doctor says, I will shatter this silly little battlefield to dust, in a heartbeat into dust. Dust, ashes, atomized beasties. How powerful. He said he would atomize people. He said he would treat you like an insect did SUTEKH. But the other thing is, let's look at the English. Why is it a silly little battlefield? Now, if it was a battlefield between two armies, you'd go, all right, okay, it's bad or it's good or whatever. But why is it silly? Now, silly is a strange word to use. Does he mean petty? Does he mean there's no real reason for this destruction? Is it because of vengeance, which is a stupid emotion, or is it brotherly rivalry?
Are we getting the death zone back?
Yeah, well, I'd love that. SUTEKH v Horus, the two brothers. What a silly little battlefield. And that's what parents say to brothers when they're fighting. That's silly. Stop it. And so I don't know if it's an element of that. It doesn't make any sense to me otherwise. And we all know, obviously, at the end there, that the final episode is called Empire of Death. And we know a lot of Doctor Who fans are going on about Daleks and various things, or a book that's out, as you know, as well. But my hunch, because I'm sticking to SUTEKH, is you've got like Egyptian armies, you've got Horus's army, which is one empire, you've got SUTEKH's army, which is another. They consume the universe in their fight for vengeance. And of course, he cursed Earth anyway when he was captured again by the Doctor. So we've got all that. And then look at the chaos, right? Let's look at the chaos. We saw in the trailer, if you look at the top right there, you've got it's either an asteroid or a shooting star or another planet. Something's about to wipe something out. Then you look at shots like this, where there's all that dust and all that devastation. Then you look at that shot when, of course, one planet disappeared, or was it that space station?
Hey, Brendan, when you click back 2 pictures to that devastated thing, I wanted to point out something, see if you saw it. Do you see that line of like some sort of lights or something mounted, and that looks like the only thing left standing? I wonder what that is, man. I didn't notice that before.
Yeah, and they seem to be pouring more dust down, those drones or whatever they are.
Interesting.
Yeah, so this is all part of my theory because I've sold this to our lovely viewers, and I don't like to tell you short. In our last trailer review, most of us were here and we were discussing all this. Is it snow? Is it ashes? Is it dust? And of course, on my theory, if it is SUTEKH, it's blooming well dust. It's devastation. So I'm nearly finished now. Dust and devastation. Let's look at the slogan. Everything is possible when you can change time. Now,
make sure you close the door.
Everything can be changed. Everything can be changed. So SUTEKH can be in the future. Things can come back. He wasn't killed. We didn't see his death, and the 4th Doctor was guessing. So we've got an episode called The Devil's Cord. Now, Rachel, I won't spoil your thunder later about that one. But The Devil's Cord. And what I will say about The Devil's Cord is, you know, RTD, he's like Bad Wolf. He sows little clues all the way. The Devil's Cord, yeah, it'll be the Jinx Monsoon character, nasty villain, blah, blah, blah. But not the big one. It's a bit like SUTEKH will have all these agents. They might even have the monk in it. He'll have the Jinx character and various others. But the big one is later. And so I think he's given us clues about devil, 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 devil. Anyway, I thank you. I'm going to go home now and have a bath. There you go. Thank you. Anybody think I'm onto it? Who thinks I'm, you know, I want the threads to give me 10 out of 10. Come on, there's no holes in that at all, are there? There's none.
Well, it makes sense, a lot of it. I mean, I hadn't even thought about
me neither. I'm in the same boat.
Oh, I hadn't even contemplated that even before coming on this today. And what you say there does click. A lot of what you've said when you think about, you know, the whole thing about gods. It's a very, I think the theme of this upcoming season definitely going to be, you know, gods and mythical creatures, and, you know, and the supernatural and the mystical element that the Saints are going to go into. And also, just to add even more credence to your point, if that's, you know, for want of a better word.
Very good.
Thank you. The fact that Russell himself didn't he? I think we confirmed that there was in series 14 or season 1 that there was going to be a character from the Tom Baker era that was going to make an appearance. So now, whatever character that was, they never said, obviously. But the, you know, there's a character. I think it was in Doctor Who magazine. I believe. Actually, yeah, that was it. See those scenes of Sarah and him, you know, showing her, you know, this is what the planet will look like if we don't help. You know, like I said before, a companion.
That's cool
defining
too.
moment. The Doctor has a defining moment. The companion has a defining moment. You know, oh, this is how it is. This is the ramifications of time travel. This is a consequence of it. No, it's not just simple as, oh, well, let's just go in the TARDIS and nip home. Or it doesn't. The world doesn't end because I was born, like Martha said once. You know, this is the consequence of it. And like again, they could go in a completely opposite direction. And you know what? Good, because, you know, I want them to surprise us. We don't want it to be predictable, really, do we? But everything you just said there, you've convinced me, and I wasn't even thinking about SUTEKH at all.
So we're gonna end the show now because I've won. Thank you very much. There you go.
Much love. Guys, check out the Culture Council Saturday at 4. Bye.
So, well, me and Crimpline were like that. Yeah, he goes for it. That was the dust thing. You've got the quote from me. Yeah, exactly. Not everybody. Michael Q did say, I think it's Omega, and that was discussed.
I'm cooler with that than SUTEKH, even though I think SUTEKH is aesthetically one of the coolest villains in all of Doctor Who. I just love that whole iconography and everything, all the Egyptian stuff. But I'm really big on like Time Lords and the lore about them and all the mysteries and stuff. So I would be just as cool if it was some sort of Time Lord thing, as long as there's no Cyber Lords.
Yeah, and I was talking earlier to one of our a future panelists, possibly, who's going to help us out with various things, and he's sent me essays in before and everything. And he was saying, but if you're going to do it, don't spoil it and bring back Gabriel Wolfe. Of course, he's 91 now, as Crimpline says. Fantastic voice, one of the best voices in Doctor Who for a villain. Fantastic. But I know what you mean. Right. So that's got us all warmed up. Rachel, do you want to throw one of your theories out there just to please our punters?
Which would you like? Would you like my wild card theory, or
go for your wild card one?
Go crazy first.
Okay, so my theory is Ruby is a space baby. It's a wild.
That's the best thing I've heard yet, Rach.
Now, Ruby. The reason why I thought that is that potentially when we saw space babies, well, I always had this idea that that person dressed up like that on the right hand side there.
Yeah.
I always thought that was Ruby. Ruby coming in to put Ruby down by the church.
Yeah, you poisoned my mind with that stuff too, Rachel. You got me thinking that might be a possibility now because I was locked into it being Jodie. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I can see why you would be locked into seeing it was Jodie, you know, with the boots and all of that. Yeah. But I was just like, you know, and so I threw, you know, I sort of like, well, how would she get to that point, you know? Maybe she was a space baby from the past, had a space pod and crash landed to Earth, and then older Ruby finds her herself, and then in order to save the timeline, picks the baby up and puts the baby in front of the church. Now that's one of my more outlandish
listening RTD
ideas.
Rachel, I'm gonna throw this into what you've just said there as well.
Okay.
How about this as well? How about new companion is also a space baby and replaces Ruby?
That's also possible, because does one of them say it's you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
like, the boss baby and Alec Baldwin.
Yeah. Well, I've got the same hairline as the one at the front, so maybe I'm a space baby as well.
So we've got loads of theories going here. This is, I mean, I like some of these, I have to say, and I can see credit in them. I know you've called it wildcard, but so garbage. Ruby saves herself. It's part of the story arc. Now that is kind of fitting into a later one from Rachel, slightly, I suppose. We've got the space babies were very diverse, weren't they? Just a timeless child. Well, I suppose they were plucked out. In some ways, that little trail of 3 seconds, I wondered if they were pulled out by that monster and kept. I don't know. Michael Q thinks it's Kate Stewart who's carrying the baby.
Mm-hmm.
You see, there's that pod behind her there, and I've put that there because of what you said, Rachel. That has she crash landed, you say, and this is where we go back.
I didn't even realize that was a pod.
It looks like a pod, doesn't it? In fact, it looks like the pod.
The
beep the Meep had crashed in, actually. Yes, we've got those space babies there. And so we had, so we've got SUTEKH is coming back. And actually, this one can be true too, can't it? SUTEKH is coming back. And the space baby, one of them is Ruby. The thing is, you were also wondering, Rachel, whether the space babies were evil, weren't you?
I was, yeah. I thought maybe they could turn into monsters or alien monsters.
Well, she did. She got sacked. But but apparently she was a diva monster. I don't know.
No.
I think that's why the TARDIS interior is massive. It's going to be a massive crash.
Yeah.
But, so we've got.
You're going to have a nappy changing episode then.
Maybe.
Very progressive.
Yeah.
I think this is the future.
New, isn't it? I mean, I know Doctor Who's been a bit silly in the past, and we've had sort of quote unquote camp moments, but like this is a bit different, isn't it? I mean, if it's good, it's good. I'm not going to cast any sort of prejudgments on it now. There's no point in that, really. But I mean, look at it. I mean, it's now we know why the babies, because I remember seeing some sort of document asking about a casting call for, they were wanting children, they're wanting babies of all different creeds and colours. I remember seeing that, and I think I remember discussing it with maybe Noel or something. I mean, we were all saying, why the hell would they need a whole bunch of babies for an episode for whatever reason? And I guess now that finally explains why.
I'm going to say it right now: timeless children.
Yes, time scales. There's just hope. Let's just hope the space babies are no timeless children.
John, I'm starting to consider you kind of a friend, but you can ruin the day. You can ruin my day like that, brother.
Well, all I can say, mate, is misery loves company.
All right. At least we have the same barber.
Exactly.
Rachel,
yeah.
Come on, then. Let's have your second one, because you've given us the wildcard one.
Yeah, I can see India Fisher on the screen, so I was guessing that you were going to ask me to do my second one. Okay, I'm gonna just read it out. Okay, because it's quite a long one to explain. So the legend of Ruby Sunday is that she does not exist in space or time. So it's a bit like India Fisher's character in the Big Finish stories, Charlotte Pollard, where she was supposed to die on that airship, wasn't she? But she didn't. And then the Doctor removes her from space and time. And it kind of actually ties into the SUTEKH stuff as well.
Good. It has to.
So it would have to, yeah. No, well, not it would have to, but obviously, when you said all of that, that was before I caught, when you told me about SUTEKH, I was just like, oh, that actually does relate, kind of makes sense to what I'm thinking. So I thought maybe she would throw herself into like the onslaught that's going on, with falling into the pit, to stop all life from being extinguished. And essentially she erases herself from time, where only the Doctor can remember her, which results in him breaking the fourth wall to tell us, the viewer, the story about Ruby Sunday. And the only really recorded memory is perhaps a ghost in the TARDIS. And then the Doctor, where have I written it? In the Empire of Death, or maybe even like earlier, maybe, tries to get her back into time, but is unable to, even though he finds her. So he takes her to a place, unable to, even though he finds her. So he takes her to a place that she can exist and just exist as a legend.
Well, you see,
Dang, Rachel, you need to go work for BBC.
Yeah,
I know. There's a lot of
Damn, that's better than RTD right there.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, I can buy into parts of it or all of it. I mean, the butterfly thing we mentioned before, Sound of Thunder, it's classic. You change history by just standing on a butterfly. Although in this trailer, you also see him kind of almost, I don't know, either enjoying a butterfly or resuscitating it. I don't know. We also know that when she stands on that butterfly, we see that humorous moment. Now, that she's not dead there, but she's been changed, of course, and maybe the whole of time has been changed after that. So I was saying to Rachel when she shared this with me, and then everybody can have a free fall, including the thread, of course, on this one, plus SUTEKH, and keep telling me how right I am. But basically, on this one, if Ruby in the end doesn't exist anymore and is like created into a legend of folklore, word of mouth, that's the only thing that keeps her going. Or I think you said, Rachel, she goes into the TARDIS data bank or something. You know, she's recorded just so she's valued. I thought, do you know what? I always remember Margaret Slitheen in the Boomtown, and I remember that moment when she was turned back into an egg and she had to start her life again. And the whole idea was about rehabilitation, nature versus nurture. We don't want another Donna Noble thing when he erases her memory. It was awful, that we all hated it, and I think RTD knew it. So the only way he can't change time, the Doctor can't do that. So the only thing he could do is actually take her back to start again. This is my version: is she has to be reborn and just start again.
And yeah, and I can see that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can.
What's everybody thinking? That SUTEKH is in charge of the creche, and then we have these space babies, and then obviously she has to go back and be reborn. Is it all?
I definitely don't, like I said before, I don't think it's Jinx. I don't think she's this big bad, the big boss. I think she's just one of the. I think she's alongside the Toy Maker and the Beep the Meep as well. I think she's in that category. I don't think she's. I mean, unless they pull the wool over our eyes, but I can't see that being a possibility. I think it's going to be something big. Some godly figure. SUTEKH for me, it clicks, and like. Sorry, I forgot your name. Touch out. That works as well.
It's Rachel. Yeah.
Rachel, that's it. I remember now. Rachel. That's a good point about Charlie Pollard, because again, that's something similar in that it's a possible person. Of how can she be here because she's supposed to be dead, and then they go through a whole hell on earth trying to keep her alive. And then I remember that. I can't remember which story it was, but it was in the Divergent arc, I think. But then again, something similar with that as well. I will say though, I'm a little bit tired of companions being, being the impossible girl. These massive universe-altering companions. I've said it before. Can we go back to having a series arc centered around the Doctor for a change? I know we kind of had it with a Time as Child, but that was kind of the wrong example of it. I just think we've got the whole thing about being this mystery child. I just wish it was maybe the focus was not so much on the companion being this godly, something not godly, but this outworldly figure kind of thing.
I could have said that better myself, man. I completely agree.
Where does this character fit in then? Because they've been hinted at in every trailer, and I've said the monk once, and then I said maybe it's Leela, but just with our SUTEKH version and with the baby being reborn or Ruby Sunday not existing anymore, on this version where you do see Ruby Sunday, we have that figure in the distance. In one trailer, I did that enlarging with the old TARDIS or whatever, doesn't work. But in the first season 1 trailer at the end of the Church on Ruby Road, I got to zoom in on this person, and that's definitely a woman. Is it an old Kate Stewart? Is it Leela?
I was just about to say Kate Stewart.
Yeah. Kate Stewart, Leela, Mrs. Flood, Susan
Ruby or
Twist.
Mrs. Flood?
Yeah, Mrs. Flood, I think.
So you think, okay, so where does this fit in? Why do we have somebody staring at her from a distance? I mean, is she the woman in charge of mother care? I mean, why is she there? Is she the space baby nanny?
They're the same people. They're
I mean,
the
we
same
do-
people.
person.
Yeah, and not to. What I will say, Brendan, is going back to start with about the SUTEKH theory. What I will say is Russell T Davies, on every season finale he's done, he's brought a villain back that's familiar.
Yep.
So that's gone all the way through it. Having said that, I don't think it's SUTEKH, and the reason I will say that is SUTEKH wouldn't need any minions. SUTEKH would literally just tear across the universe, just wiping planet after planet out. He just wouldn't need that assistance.
Good point.
So then,
I was going to say Omega is someone that would use minions. He created them in his own universe. He was insane, but if anyone's going to be patient in his own reality, it would be him. But going back to kind of what Rachel alluded to in a previous episode, I would agree with her that my theory is that it's going to be the 14th Doctor's gone bad.
Right. Well, I've given Rachel two.
Although you could say though that with him being in this chair for so long, or what have you,
Yeah.
You know, SUTEKH,
With the hand.
he's been, he's been waiting, hasn't he? He's not dead or anything. He's been in waiting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's totally possible.
Rely on it, people.
So
maybe that could explain why he's maybe got minions.
Put it this way:
why it helped him out.
at 45, if I'd been in that chair for even 10 minutes, I'd struggle to get up. So I don't know what SUTEKH's going to do.
I thought I was older than you, John.
He'll have a little massager for his legs. But okay then. I mean, Rachel has also mentioned this one, but we'll pass it to you, John. Then, John, take us through the 14th Doctor thing, please.
I just want to say, because Rachel, you were going to say something briefly, weren't you? Just about a minute or so ago.
Yeah. So maybe the one that is returning from Tom, and it's a Colin Baker. Sorry, Tom Baker's era is Leela. Then that could be Leela in the background.
She was in the season 15 mini trailer.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you wonder. Sometimes as fans just join things together, and we 2 and 2 makes 5. I know, but it's Louise Jameson would be a hell of a catch to bring back.
Oh yeah.
Right. Yeah.
She's interesting as well. I mean, whoever's got the season 15 Blu-rays at the moment, I've just finished Horror Fan Rock, and I have to say, and I knew this already, but just watching her in action again, she's so good as this savage who's trying to help and gets patronized but doesn't put up with it.
Looking forward to getting to the
fantastic characterization.
Yeah, it's great. I don't think it's going to be Leela. I agree with Rachel that I think from whoever it was, I'm sure it was Rachel, but talking about the fact that it's going to be Ruby with the baby. I think I've said before, I think the boots look the same in 2 different shots. I think it's going to be that. It's going to be, I hate to use the word, a timey-wimey thing, but that's going to be probably the end of it for the season. But I would say the 14th Doctor, when we saw him in the 60th, he was effectively a broken man, and he was basically giving up. And I was, talking to Rachel and Brendan earlier, and I was effectively saying it would just take one little push to push him over the edge. We already know that he's already been on a couple of trips. What's to say that he didn't go on a trip, got disillusioned because things went bad, and the next thing you know, he's right. I'm going to fix things. And I think that I could see that happening. I could see 2 Doctors, 2 TARDISes, universe in chaos, and I think that would give it more gravitas. Where you've got Ncuti with the TARDIS doors open in the middle of space, screaming because he suddenly comes to the conclusion that his previous incarnation's gone bad, and he's got to stop him. Or previous incarnation, or is it the same incarnation? Trying to get my head around that.
Who knows anymore, bro?
Yeah.
Then 14 and he's 50. But do you reckon that they're going to do, because we saw in the trailer that there's an old-looking TARDIS that looks like it's been there for a long time, moss growing all over it. Now, I think maybe Brendan or maybe both of us had the thought of maybe that is 14's TARDIS, because I can't imagine that.
Yeah.
Although it's a bit confusing because I've seen location shots of the TARDIS on that cliff, on that mountain, whatever. And Shooter was there wearing a big jacket thing, big coat, and he had an orange beanie. So he's there.
I still haven't.
But then, like again, in the same breath, there's some moss-grown old TARDIS.
Yeah.
So I think, could that be 14?
Well, it could be, and it could be, you could be talking, I'm going way off base now, but you could be talking about a 14 that gets trapped in the past. His TARDIS isn't working for whatever reason, and he's grown up through history, and he's gone rogue that way.
And when you said, and Rachel said it as well, when you said going rogue, you mentioned another character, didn't you?
Did I?
The Valeyard.
The Valeyard. Yeah, okay. So Rachel mentioned earlier as well that with a certain great actor passing away recently, it would be a nice touch to do that.
John,
yeah,
couldn't they? Like, I mean, my understanding, having watched the episode and read about it and stuff, is the Valeyard was described as like the Doctor somewhere between his, was it 12th and final generation, like some weird in between thing, kind of like that Watcher for Tom Baker or whatever. So I just go ahead, buddy. I just completely lost my thought.
No, it's fine. No, it's fine. And I think the Valeyard would be an interesting twist. And I think from the way I could see Russell T Davies looking at it is from a general audience perspective. The general audience know who David Tennant is. They knew how popular he was as the 10th Doctor. What a twist it would be is if you suddenly had David Tennant back, but he's evil, he's gone bad. That would certainly get bums on seats.
You better have a black outfit and a hat on, and that would be cool. Yeah, that would be sweet. Maybe as much as I hate by generation, I mean, they could use that to explain how one of the Doctors became the Valeyard in between or whatever. But it's wild to think about.
I think that's certainly more likely to be the case. And the other thing that I thought about not being SUTEKH is in Doctor Who lore, I would say the Toymaker is more powerful than SUTEKH because he's from a different universe reality. Yeah. And he can bend things to his will, whereas SUTEKH, although he's supremely powerful, he follows the laws of our universe. So.
But I think SUTEKH, having sat on that chair for ages, and he's got an extra hand, so there's a hand behind him and his two hands when they're allowed to move, he'd catch that ball in the giggle. Whereas the Toymaker was a terrible catcher. And, and
SUTEKH never really got out of it. Like, we all watched Pyramids of Mars. Yeah. SUTEKH wasn't full power then, was it? He was just sort of coming into things. He was still in the chair, wasn't he? He still wasn't released. So if that was him, if he was that powerful while he was sort of incapacitated and trapped, I'd like to see what how
10,000 years as well. Watching the same TV channel's got to drive you mad as well, isn't it? So
he's been super pissed since Jody came in.
And
he was needing a makeover as well. He needs that queer eye for the guy.
Y'all think pissed is being drunk? I'm sorry, I forgot y'all use that. We use it as being mad. I'm sorry.
Rachel,
I was going to ask. How powerful would the Toymaker actually be, and how much control would he actually have if he is outside of his domain?
Wow, it's never really been established as such, but in our universe, he can bend reality to create what he wants. So I would say still, incredibly powerful.
But he's more powerful inside his toy box.
My snag was with that, John, is because I thought, bringing the Toymaker back is classic RTD. That's what he does. He shows you somebody at the beginning, like one Dalek, and at the end you get the whole army of them.
Yeah.
But as I showed early on here, let's get the right one up. He said, the actual Toymaker said, there's only one player I didn't dare face, the one who waits. So there's somebody. Now, whether it's not SUTEKH, but somebody else, but basically somebody trumps him by a mile.
And that shoots down, sorry, Brian, I was just going to say, that shoots down the theory of possibly it being the Master coming back, because the Master defeated him and turned him into a tooth.
So, exactly, the Master was useless,
There's also something in play we haven't considered, or maybe you have, but he's also possibly in play for this season. I don't know. Because somebody picked that tooth up.
And that's where Brandon, I'd have him as another minion, to be honest, because I think there's all the minions, then the big one.
Yeah, the Master would be a minion. He's kind of like a character like Doctor Doom in Marvel, who he might make you think he was doing something underneath you, but in his mind, he's just doing it so he can take over himself.
And to be honest,
well, I don't think Jinx. I said Jinx, didn't I? I don't think Jinx is the big bad, but it's also confusing because Russell has also hyped up Jinx and said Jinx is going to be the biggest, most powerful enemies the Doctor faced. Well, if that's true, then she's going to be in episode 2.
Yeah.
If that's the Beatles episode, which looks like it is. Well, actually, it is, isn't it? We confirmed the titles. But and they're dropping that 2 episodes on one night, so we're literally gonna straight away we're gonna get Jinx. So I can't. This is what I mean. I don't think she's gonna be the big bad of the season because she's in the 2nd episode. And like I said, unless she comes back, but if she was in the final episode, maybe. But I just you keep talking her up as if she's this big bad, the biggest powerful enemy the Doctor's ever faced, and she's only in the 2nd episode.
Yeah, and he does that.
I think there was a little more to that.
But here's the thing about that. I think she'll be the key to what actually happens.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Well, go on, because I'm not going to steal your thunder. Part of my SUTEKH theory was that there were all these threads to do with Devil and all the rest of it. But actually, Rachel, you said something about the Devil's Card to me yesterday.
Yeah. So when I made my original video reacting to the titles, I was trying to remember why the Devil's Card sounded so familiar, and I couldn't for the life of me remember why, until I was speaking to you yesterday, Brendan, about all of these wild theories that we have, and I said to you, did you know that the Devil's Card is also known as a tritone? Didn't I? Or something along those lines. It's also called, I found the other name for it. It's Diabolus in Musica. It's devil in music. It's the devil's interval. And there was this theory, this superstition that if you played this chord, and specifically on guitar, it sounds so much like, so threatening and so horrific or dull or dramatic or whatever, that it actually could summon the devil. Which is why I think, and we see her at a piano and she says, "You called?"
Yeah.
So did someone play the Devil's Chord on that piano and summon Jinx?
It will be
someone
Paul
who plays a
McCartney.
little guitar. That sounds cool.
It'll be Paul McCartney because he was the pianist, wasn't he?
Yeah, it could be.
But I think again, this is where Rachel's probably onto something there, and I think this season, as they've kind of alluded to, this is going to be more fantasy than science fiction from that approach. So I could see, these sort of superstitions, the devil being summoned. That's the kind of thing that they could go for in this season. Whether it happens, I don't know, but it's certainly a possibility, isn't it?
Yeah,
there's a lot, and let me just catch up because we've said a lot, but the thread is saying lots of different things, and I didn't want to miss some of them because Peter Harrington, I think one of the panels said earlier, is this like the 5 Doctors? It feels like these characters are being used like a game. It's playing again as pieces on a chessboard. It's a bit Curse of Fenric as well, isn't it?
Well, that's why I thought of the Death Zone when you were repeating back, Shooty's trying to be tough lines or whatever. It made me think about maybe they'd suck some people in the Dead Zone.
Look, if it turned out it was Fenric, guys, I'm going to be jumping around the house because I love that story, and Fenric is a great villain in it.
And not only that, John, the 7th Doctor's still running around somewhere.
Yeah. Is anyone better at this? I'm not very hot on the technicalities. The music says, I love your profile. I tell you, I try my best. The music behind Jinx Monsoon in the trailer is in blah, 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 blah. A rare time signature, most famously used in Mike Oldfield's Jubilee Bells, aka the theme to The Exorcist.
Yes, that's weird time signatures. That's like
a lot of it was.
I didn't realize
a lot of it was,
All right, he's just changed it slightly.
Links back to the pit again, then, doesn't it?
It does, and the pit linked back to SUTEKH.
And you've also got that image from the 10th Doctor era in the first trailer as well. So does that allude to going back to the Impossible Planet Satan pit link?
Oh, it's all happening, isn't it? I've just got to kind of keep...
The gears are grinding, aren't they?
So I'm here, viewers, to actually kind of say I did think this through, and when I'm wrong, you can enjoy telling me. But for now, isn't it fun? So, so we've got SUTEKH. Ruby was born and was a space baby. We've got Ruby doesn't exist anymore. She's only a legend. Episode 7 title. We've got the 14th Doctor goes rogue and bad. I think he might have been pulling Ivy out in the garden without gloves on, and he's gone mad. And so he turns into the Valeyard. Oh, there's all these things going on. Oh, he has hay fever. I mean, that could be it. So there's all these issues. And then, of course, we've come to, I still think I've got to say it now before I forget, because, you know, we're pulling all our theories together. And of course, you were talking about, it's not Jodie Whittaker with the baby. And I wanted to say it is Jodie Whittaker with the baby, because this is exactly what Russell Davies would do. Russell Davies wants to bring the universe of Who back together. He wants us all to be friends, and he wants Chris Chibnall to be loved, and he wants everything to be just right. So I actually think those boots, and she does look like in the Wimbledon announcement of her choice and her selection, she was wearing boots like that and a kind of hoodie like that, wasn't she? She looked like a druid. So I can't find the pic yet. That's classic of me. But I think we might see Jodie in a cameo maybe. Now, when I say cameo, it's the start of something, because I do think he might want to show her again and give her a chance. Now, she obviously wants to move on. I think Rachel would get this as an actress. That, well, why would you go back when, you know, you were... I don't know. I don't know if she thinks her time as Doctor Who was successful. I don't know what Jodie Whittaker really thinks. But whether she'd want to come back into the storm, but as you know, Rachel, everybody wants to work for Russell Davies, don't they?
Oh, yeah. So I hear.
Oh.
So I hear along a very long grapevine. Although having said that, you know, I'm probably only like 2 away from actually ever meeting him, if you know what I mean. They always say, you know, you're closer to someone than what you actually know. Oh,
yeah.
Oh, the screen's oh, okay.
Babies.
It's back to babies.
It's back to babies, and Jodie Whittaker carrying the baby, because remember, it was Moffat was good at this, and RTD, they watch each other, these showrunners. And of course, when you had the Capaldi, was it the Matt Smith Doctor phoned the Capaldi Doctor, and when you had the eyebrows of the Capaldi Doctor and the day of the Doctor, they kind of love all this. But if you were selling to Jodie Whittaker a chance to do a nice cameo, but then lead to something in season 2 or something, if he's going to do multi-Doctor stories and he'll bring Tennant back every 5 weeks, I think Jodie's a dead cert.
I've got a brilliant theory here. Keep that image on.
Yeah.
On the left is Russell T Davies remaking Mordrin Undead.
Oh. Oh.
All in their capsules. Doctor needs a regeneration.
I'm trying to work out whether this is what they all end up like when they've been captured and immobilized. As in, they've got a baby body, but they've got minds, I can tell, because they can speak and everything. And whether it's a form of imprisonment, or whether this is a kind of lovely Mickey take of babies are normally innocent and useless,
like
but actually
they could go down that route, couldn't they? Where, you know, you look at it and think, oh, it's just innocent kids, you know, it's just babies, but then like they might do like a beat them up kind of thing. Oh, it looks cute, but then like, you know, they beat the villain or something at the end.
What's the symbol right at the back as well?
Let's have a look.
It looks like almost like a virus or something,
hospital or some lab or facility.
Yeah, so it looks like a.
I see it too, John.
A virus or a germ or something.
I bet it means something. I bet you that. I mean, like I bet it's supposed to mean something. Here's one for shout out. Here's one for Brendan. What if they made all these babies in case some of them died because they need a new body for SUTEKH? You know what I mean? The one up front.
Well, I wouldn't put it past him.
And they had to engineer it to be able to take the power levels that he'll put through a humanoid body.
I mean, they like doing creepy things with children and babies and stories.
Personally,
like
I think
this,
they could fire their whole crew and bring us in.
He did, and I was saying in the thread earlier, I mean, this isn't new with the baby thing. I remember the animated Star Trek series in the 70s, and they had an episode where they're all babies.
Yeah.
And it was like a plague or disease on the trip. Then Voyager did it.
Oh, and Brendan, are you saying like this might be some of our characters de-aged?
Yes.
Ah, okay. I had not considered that, man.
Yeah, or they're plague carriers. So they can't go to the planet. That's why they're space babies, because they've been genetically created potentially, and they can't go on the planet because they'll wipe out the rest of the race. That's very sci-fi, but you know, that would be good. Star Trek did that years ago as well.
Yeah,
they did it
exactly.
where I forget the name of them, but they had to stop them from getting to the planet because they had a killer plague, didn't they, or something?
Didn't we say on our Sunday show, we actually said that Doctor Who in 63, 64, etc. used to be a pioneer, and it didn't copy other shows like Buffy and that.
Yeah.
Whereas now we're talking about, is this like Star Trek?
Exactly.
And I'll tell you one more that I would dread. He won't do it, I don't think, but it's a possibility, and this show's about possibilities, is all those space babies, if you look at them all there, they are all timeless children.
Yeah,
and they're all pre-Hartnell.
Yeah, I'm going to go with you on that one.
It might be that. Easily could be that, because that would suck. And so it probably is that. But
it would be the end of Doctor Who.
Well, unless you want to get into some of that like Cartmel master plan stuff about the Doctor being a reincarnation of something called the Other or the Stranger, I'll grant you that as a previous like Doctor. But other than that, William Hartnell's number one.
Well, the new trailer alludes to as well, and this is Shooty's own words. He says, "I don't have a people, I don't have a home, so timeless." So I basically, that's me saying he's now confirming that the timeless children is intact, which I don't like at all. Yeah.
Now, John, I'm not interrupting you to move on. I'm going to actually ask you to move to actually carry on with this. You can all tell John. Now we've done some of the theories for a second. John wants a moment. This is his therapy. He's going to turn into the 14th Doctor and then turn into the Valeyard. This is going to happen really fast, right? So, John, you have mentioned quite a lot to me today about what you wanted to say about the trailer, never mind theories. So I'll start you with this picture and you can take us through your little therapy rant.
You nasty piece of work.
Oh, shoot. I figured he would have done that to me. Okay, John, you can go out. Yeah.
Well,
I got you back.
Well, again, the whole give me the loving for me is, it's bad already, but to put it in the second trailer in a week, just it does grind my gears. And I think one of the things I would say is the Doctor Who was always cool because he was not trying to be cool or down with the kids. And the example I'll give with that is you've got the fourth Doctor with the jelly babies, and you've got him threatening to kill someone with a deadly jelly baby. That wasn't a cool thing to do, but it came cool and the kids loved it. Okay. Now this is doing stuff to say, look at us, we're down with the kids, when that's not something the Doctor would do. The Doctor would just go about his business and if one of his previous incarnations saw him, and it's starting to creep in a lot more with New Who, they would say, what the hell are you going on about? And even John Hurt, the War Doctor, he kind of called them out on it in a comedy way, didn't he? Now
I want to be fair before anyone else comes in. I want to be fair. When we did the Rose review yesterday, because I watched it again, I hadn't seen it for years. I noticed there was a piece of dialogue given to Chris Eccleston, and to be honest, it was quite Americanized. And I thought, oh my God, back in 2005, that. So actually, when I see this, which I did find a bit problematic, I thought, actually, RTD's been doing this all the way through.
What was the line?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the line. I promise you, I'll think about it while you're all talking.
I think Johnny's right, though. Doctor Who and sci-fi in general, like, sci-fi is quite not to sort of sound elitist, but, sci-fi was always usually quite smart people. I would have thought. Doctor Who is always quite an intelligent fan base. Comics and geek kind of fandoms and franchises in general. At the end of the day, sci-fi isn't for everyone. That's the problem, and they're trying to make, not just in Doctor Who, just everything in general. They're trying to make like anything, whether it's bloody football or they're trying anything that you got hobby in.
Down.
Seems like these days they're always trying to like dumb it down or make it less complicated or make it more easy. And I don't mind, I'm all for people discovering things, whether it be Doctor Who or video games as well, that can be affected by it. I'm all for anyone to find these things. But if you're gonna find something and actually enjoy it for what it is, like don't simple it down or dumb it down to get more appeal.
Yeah,
exactly. That would be like me wanting to be catered more to me as an American.
I like Doctor Who. Doctor Who. That's why I fell into it. Fell in love with it because I liked it for what it was. I didn't need it to sort of like simplify itself for me so I could enjoy it. Same with a video game or books or anything like that, or something that maybe that's quite complicated to get into. And I always the thing about storylines. Again, we're all speculating here about all these wonderful, Rachel had quite a fairly complicated, but it worked. It worked, but it was very clever and it was very sci-fi. It was complicated, but it was a good kind of complicated that you want. And it's like I just like as good as that theory was. Do I trust them to be clever? Or do I trust them? Are they still clever? Are they still intelligent? Or are they just predictable? And are they going to go for the simple? The simple explanation. I mean, we all know how many times there was so many exposition. Jodie having to tell us what was going on in the Chibnall era. A lot of that.
I think some of that also comes from the fact that they don't have as many guest writers as they used to for classics. Now the showrunner that does a lot of the writing, so it's almost like, I don't want to say creativity runs dry because at the end of the day they are writers, they are creative people, but it's only so much one person can do as a showrunner for something like this. And can I just say about the "Give Me the Love" in it as well? That does not sound like the Doctor.
No,
it's like it's you go all the way through from 1 all the way up to the end of David Tennant's 14, and I'm going to include Jodie in this. Like the way that the Doctor speaks in general, it's all fundamentally the same all the way through, pretty much. And then to suddenly start saying "Give me the lovin'," it's completely like out of the blue.
He's become too much of a regular old person.
Well,
it sounds hip.
I'll give you another example of that as well, if that's okay, Brendan.
Well, I'm just about to flash up another one. Okay. So I haven't listened to you, but yes, there's another one that you mentioned.
Yeah, well, I was going to say there's that one as well, but I was also going to jump onto, and we'll come onto it later. But
go on then, you tell us the next one.
He also says, "Honey, I'm much bigger bang than you bargained for." That's what he says to someone that he's obviously coming face to face with. Now, look, I might be a miserable so-and-so tonight. I don't know, but that doesn't sound at all like the Doctor. So you've got "Give me the lovin'," and then you've got that honey, I'm much bigger bang than you bargained for. Now, that's just not something the Doctor would do, and not something the Doctor would say. It's crazy. But then my view on it would be, is it RTD's not trusting the audience to be intelligent enough, or is he not able to write it intelligently?
Or is it this was shown to us months ago, these articles, and that's what there you go.
Yeah,
John, he's the gayest Doctor ever, and that kind of
because that's what matters.
Yeah, exactly. And Brendan, those examples. I mean, again, I've been perfectly honest with it. I'm going to watch it, but I'm doing it more for review purposes because sadly I'm out. There used to be trailers back in the day where I was so excited seeing the trailer. Yeah. And I always remember the season 4 trailer, and I thought, and the music from Murray Gold. And I was like, I'm in, I cannot wait. Now I'm just like, it just pushes me away from it now when I see these trailers. And, all credit to everybody who wants to enjoy it. That's good. That's what it's there for. But for me personally, it's not my thing. I just think that I can already see there's going to be a lot of RTD's politics in there just from the 2 trailers.
Well, he's evidence. Remember, this article came out ages ago. This is from Millie Gibson's own mouth. She says the outrage brigade will probably continue to clutch their pearls as the new series progresses. There's so many controversial elements to this season, the good sort of controversy, and it's what we need to see on our TV. Some people might think this isn't the Doctor Who I know, but I'm really excited to see it. It's really cool that they're doing concepts like these and changing it up. And then she just moves on to say, the rest of it is just about comparing it to the Rovers. So there you go then. Well, they want to be controversial, and so they're getting you triggered.
Well, I would say to respond to that, and I remember reading it at the time, and I would say, okay, I get it. You live in your little bubble and you basically put these comments out. But at the end of the day, every time you do this, you think you're really great. And yet the people that actually buy the merchandise, the people that actually buy the DVDs and the Blu-rays and the collections don't like it. So you don't sell your merchandise. And they keep trying to find this mythical imaginary audience that does not exist. Until they finally bang their heads against the wall and realize, hang on a minute, that doesn't exist. We're actually doing our shows for effectively potentially 1% of the population.
Yeah,
nothing's going to change. It's not going to be a success.
Join into your
and the language of it as well. The language of it. Sorry, but like I haven't got any issue with Millie, but it's
confrontational.
The way it's worded. It's almost like it's slightly on the front foot, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a bit like, oh well, the outrage brigade.
Well, it's like what I mentioned. We were screaming the other day.
Because they're never happy with anything. And it just seems. Well, yeah, we have valid reasons. I mean, at the end of the day, Doctor Who isn't Doctor Who. People are going to.
But before Brandon comes in, Brandon, just to join up all these points and that up there, how many times are we seeing on Twitter? Are we seeing in places people saying, "Get with it. Doctor Who changes all the time. You lot get with it." And I'm thinking, it didn't change like this. The Leisure Hive, which was a massive change in style of season 18, it was still the same Doctor's character. It was still the same TARDIS. It was still the same music. And actually, none of the characterization changed. It was just a stylistic change.
Well, this is the big misconception. There's two big misconceptions with Doctor Who in general. They always say, number one is, oh, well, Doctor Who's always about change. No, it's not. It's a show that has change in it. It's not all about change. And the second one that is, just Doctor Who doesn't have a continuity. Well, of course it does. Everything has to have a continuity. Maybe it's not always been squeaky clean. Yes, we all know about unit dating, but that was more accidental than intentional.
You're right.
And again, a few, for a show that's been around for this long, you're bound to have a few instances where it's never been 100% perfect. You get that. But, you can always use your headcanon. But to say that it's never had a canon, it's basically just a get out of jail free card to basically just say to fans who do care about it, shut up, get a grip, or stop mourning because you can do it at once. And if you dare to feel unhappy about that, again, it's we're allowed our opinion, but you're not allowed yours. It's
their own little.
The thing that annoys me.
It's their own little echo chamber.
Is that what you was going to say, John? Finish what you was going to say.
Sorry, yeah, and I was just going to. I totally 100% agree with everything Cinnamon said there, which is great. And also, the final thing I would say on that is, instead of all these talks about, we're now calling this season 1, we're doing yet another reboot. How about you sit back, you think about why it's not been a success, analyze it properly, then go away and give the general public what they actually want. Then you'll get success, and you won't have to do reboots every few years of going, this is now season 1, this is now season 16. People will just watch it, and I said in a previous show, the excuse you get all the time is, it has to be on streaming and whatnot. No, it doesn't. If it's a good show, people will watch it, whether it's on terrestrial, or satellite, or cable. People will love it. So just...
Line of Duty was doing great. Line of Duty, what was the other one? Happy Valley. That was these shows that got everyone talking. I know Gladiators. I know Gladiators as well, but that's more of that's not a drama. But like Line of Duty was Happy Valley. These are all dramas. Okay, not sci-fi, but it's still dramas on the BBC, and then we're getting quite Peaky Blinders. All those shows were getting high views.
I mean,
they're all dramas on
Brandon,
BBC. They're all
Brandon,
getting high
just
views.
asking you as an American. Do you really honestly think that Doctor Who, having done a season 1 in 2005 reboot, and did one in 96, has to do another one now just to kind of introduce itself to Americans. Can Americans actually do research? I mean, honestly, do we have to keep rebooting? Because as John's saying, we get Doctor Who light for at least a season while we're introducing new fans to what we already knew. So basically, you kind of kick out the old ones and hope you're bringing in new ones. I mean,
what I was actually going to say ties into that question. So, how do I put it? Not to toot my own horn, but I mean, I'd like to consider myself a fairly intelligent human being. I just sound stupid. You know what I mean? But like, yes, they're clearly trying to cater it for people to catch it and to get into it, like first season thing on Disney Plus. But it just depends on the person. It's a niche thing. What got me into it is the things that it catered to things I like. I like a big lore, a lot of story. I was enamored of like a lot of the things about the show and the way, and a lot of the mysteries. Some that it's kind of like in comics. Sometimes, you know, you maybe you didn't want to know what Wolverine's real name was ever, or the Joker, stuff like that, you know. And I don't think it has much of a chance because what I was going to say a few minutes ago was RTD's on a mission, my man. He's not about what he was doing before. He's on a mission. You can fill in the blanks what you think it is, but I think that comes first. And I think quite frankly, everything else is probably secondary. And I don't think, you know, sometimes you'll hear people get upset or rant about something and you're like, oh, you're just being bigoted. You're just being this. But no, I just really think that, I think that's the case. I also know myself, sometimes like I've had bad things happen in life and it changed my attitude about things as far as having restraint, maybe in saying or doing certain things. Look at like what happened to him. He loses the love of his life. He's a big advocate for a lot of these problems that he sees that I don't. And that's what the season's going to have hidden everywhere, probably.
Now, Brandon, while you're still talking, you mentioned this, and then John after that. So, Brandon, do you want to say why you picked out this shot?
Yes, and I know what anybody who disagrees with me is going to say, especially with my accent. They're going to think automatically it's because I'm racist. Well, I'm not. One of my children is a mixed race and half black himself. So I mean, I don't have any problem with anybody. Obviously, I'm cool with. I mean, gay people are cool with me. I really don't care about drag trans queens, trans drag queens. But this right here is basically all that stuff. It's like a particular package, a particular image. You know, they're all about kind of changing how you see a strong male figure and things like that. And the things I just said before, it might not sound like it ties into that, but all this stuff is symptomatic of the same affliction. So it just kind of, I don't know. To me, it was like he was saying, smug. Yeah. You're going to love this because we're about to put it to you this season. And it doesn't have to be that way. Final thought on that. It's going to sound like holding hands and being stupid, but I think it would be better to have a show that had more nuance, leaves more to be open to interpretation, and then you're not upsetting people out the gate. Like that article you just showed, like the things they're saying, like within a few seconds you see Rose Geiler, and then you saw Jinx and all this stuff, and then people who are already kind of tuned into it, they're already kind of ill about this stuff. So why don't you just tame things, like tone it down a little, leave it to where people will still watch, and then people of different viewpoints can discuss Doctor Who, maybe learn something like we all do. You know what I'm saying? I just don't agree with his methodology of trying to get people to hold hands.
And John, before we come to you, John, joining Brandon's point, I'm trying to guess why you picked this. Part of me, I've heard fans say, with cultural sensitivities, with racial sensitivities, with a lot of sensitivities out there, sometimes I find our progressive writers fall into racial stereotypes in costuming and everything. I sometimes wonder, are we going forward or backwards? Anyway, what was the point you were going to make, John?
With regards to this, again, the way it ends goes back to my first point that I'm still yet to see anything of Ncuti Gatwa that makes me think there's any Doctor element in him whatsoever. I mean, this again doesn't make me feel it. I saw the bit where he's trying to express his rage, and I thought in the trailer, and I thought doesn't work for me. I've just mentioned a few minutes ago about honey, I'm much bigger bang than you bargained for. All of these things make me think he isn't the Doctor, and I don't see anything that makes me think he's the Doctor. But also, I would think, going on to sort of Brandon's points a few moments ago, Rachel made a very good point in a previous episode where she says, you show, you don't tell. But I've got a feeling in this season you're going to have show and you're going to have tell.
Yeah.
And the example I've got is, you've got in that one trailer, you've got the Doctor running out after Show Me the Lovin', running out to give Rose a cuddle. Then you've got, at the end of it, he's doing this kind of pose. Then you've got the musical element. Then you've got the Bridgerton with Ruby, which it almost is edging towards a love interest there. And again, that's in, what is it, a 3-minute trailer? And I know that how much of that is going to be in 8 episodes. So yeah. As TARDIS Spiders just said, yeah, it's a big thumbs up from me. Yeah.
So Rachel, you were gonna come in, weren't you?
Yeah, I was. I just wrote down what I was going to say, just in case I forgot it. Okay, so going back to what Brandon was saying about this particular shot.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, I'm looking at. I'm not looking at what he's saying. I'm looking at how he's acting. Okay, now I don't, obviously as an actress, I don't really like critiquing people's performances per se. Now this could be a directorial thing as well, but the one on the left, he's got the chin up, right? Okay, and actors quite often listen to behavior analysts on YouTube and things like that, and in order to learn certain techniques. It is possible that this has been purposely directed this way, so that, like, the chin up, you've got to be like really smug, like, I'm better than you, we're better than you, and we're doing this whether you like it or not.
Yeah, you put it way better than me, Rachel. That's what bothers me about it. It's a vibe, and you put it to like a much more real world based thing.
Yeah, and it's, now he may not have had anything to do with this, like acting wise. It may have come. He may have done it.
True.
He may have just gone, and that's just the beginning, like that originally, and then the director may have come in, and I don't want to criticize the director, but it may have come in and said, no, can you be more smug with it? A bit more contempt, a bit more, we're doing it, whether you like
you
it.
try to be more of an
I read it as, like, the way I read it is, I see that and I look at that as him saying, like, oh, you think you've seen it all, have you? Like,
oh, you ain't seen nothing yet, baby.
No, I don't see that as showing off. I just personally read that as, like, oh, you've seen nothing yet. That's just the beginning.
Of course.
Because that's just, I suppose because that's just the first season.
Of course, I forgot.
2025.
I've forgotten that he said that before. I've forgotten that he said that before, but it is the body language, the vibe, and just
I think going back to, and I'll contrast it, 2005 Doctor Who, when that was coming back, the trailer from Christopher Eccleston as the 9th Doctor, the trip of a lifetime, you gotta watch that. Do you want to come with me? And he's running down the subway with a fireball coming towards him. When I saw that, and even people that didn't watch Doctor Who at the time, they said to me, oh, I'm going to check that out. It looks quite good. That's from a trailer, and that's what the trailer is meant to do. It's meant to get you into it. I'm going to watch this. These trailers, I don't see them interesting people to go, do you know what? I'm going to watch that. They may go, I'll put it on record. I'll watch it down the road.
They look generic, don't they?
Exactly that. And there's,
like, you look at this. I prefer this trailer to the last one, but it's again. Now, probably sounds a little bit contradictory because on the last stream when we were talking about Americanisms and what we define as what would Americanisms be, or what would being too American, the trailer, and then you get
now,
the
I'm the Dr. Lewis.
But I just think again, with that trailer, it was different.
He's not happy about the trailer either.
That's what your dogs think of it.
Yeah. What's that? The Valeyard's coming back.
Is that Beastie from with the space?
But I just think with that first trailer, it was something different. It was the way it was done as well. It was attention grabbing. I mean, that seemed like a very British trailer. I couldn't.
I'm gonna watch it for
maybe
the first time, Cinnamon, when we're
I
done.
couldn't see that. Doesn't scream very Americanized to me, that trailer, or even the Series 5 trailer, which is great. That Series 1 trailer where you've got him just stood there saying, "Do you want to go with me?" And then if you do, I should warn you. The way it's done, the way it's shot, the way it's all, the lighting of it, everything about it, just like screams like, yeah, this is Doctor Who in the 21st century, if it was. Yeah, like 'cause again, Doctor Who towards the mid to late 80s was becoming ridiculed. It was parodied. You'd have talk shows and let's call them Daleks Pepper Pots, and Doctor Who was the uncool thing to like. It wasn't like Star Wars or Star Trek, which looked a bit more better and had bigger budgets. It was a little bit more cool to like those things. And again, with and again, we saw it as well with throughout the early 2000s. Really, comic books, superheroes. What are you, a nerd? The only people who liked those were nerds.
Yeah, when I was a kid in
as soon as
school,
you
that's
started
what it
seeing
was
Tobey
like.
Maguire,
John,
Spider-Man, and when you started seeing Tobey Maguire and and all these other superhero movies that started to come out around that time, then all of a sudden, and Lord of the Rings as well. Imagine if you were a stereotypical guy, would you have taken your girlfriend to the movies to see Dungeons and Dragons and all that? They would think, oh, that's nerd stuff. Oh, but as soon as Lord of the Rings is made into a big, huge looking, fancy, big budget 3-hour movie across 3 movies, and then it changes. And again, just jumping a little bit back to when we talk about the Doctor being cool. Now, the Doctor saying babes and honey, I personally don't mind that. I look at that as that's just this particular Doctor's charm. Again, I spoke about this a little bit before about, does the Doctor still have those core character traits that make him the person that he is? I don't mind to being a bit vain or a bit arrogant compared to the 5th Doctor, who's a bit more softer, a bit more gentler, a bit more human,
the thing is,
sympathetic.
The thing is, Cinnamon.
Shannon.
The thing is, Cinnamon, as you know from the Northeast, and as people know from various parts of the world, that now in the progressive world, we all have to be careful how we address the other sex, other people. So in our region, it was pet, as you know. You've had
the amount of times I was called pet or chicken or a flower by the dinner ladies.
I have to say, looking with my English linguistics head on, is honey and babes too much further?
I mean, open and shit.
I don't know if this is really what's acceptable at all. And so I find that interesting. Now, just to move it on, because John mentioned this, I think, well, I mean, obviously everybody dive in before we hit another issue, but basically you were wanting to mention, John, this dialogue: you are wild, you are brave, you are rude, said the character from It Looks Like the Rogue episode, and that. And then you equally had a point to make about this.
Yeah. Again, it's just, this is part of the evidence of me saying about,
I can get all that stuff in a minute if you got anything. Don't have to come out of there.
Thing was saying it's all about show and tell at the same time, essentially. So it's effectively saying, well, okay, there's the wink here at this character that people have alluded to, that he's going to be linked to it a bit more going forward. But then on top of it, you've also got the Bridgerton thing with Ruby as well, which is almost saying a bit of flirty, a bit of love interest. The Doctor's now doing this with this character. This is just further evidence that you're going to have so much of this in 8 episodes. Yeah. And you had a lot of it in the 60th, and the 60th, I was kind of out at the end of the 60th, and I see this in these trailers and I'm like, no, I'm not going to waste my time. I don't want to. I'm out. I've got a backlog of fantastic stories to continue watching, and I will do. Exactly. It's I'll do some reviews with my friends, but I'm just not invested in it anymore, unfortunately. But and I never thought I would say that.
And I'll be devil's advocate, just to kind of, and then thank you, Dead Man, for saying honey is casually acceptable in the US, only in the South. Babes is a bit edgy everywhere in the US, and that was my point, Dead Man. That I always find it really interesting that progressive writers sometimes fall right into the same trap they're trying to get us out of.
Live in a bubble.
Like when we were talking about stereotypes
John,
as well.
sorry, Cinema, I'll just finish this before my old head can't cope. Right? is devil's advocate, John. What you're seeing on the screen there is really Captain Jack, and there's theories that it's Captain Jack, but Captain Jack kissed the Doctor. There was flirtation.
Yeah.
And were we all right with that in 2005, though?
I will tell you the two differences. Well, the main difference will be, and I call it now, Captain Jack was well written at the time. He was a rounded character that you were invested in. This won't be. This will be just a token throwaway scenario, just to put it in there. It won't be a full fleshed out situation. That's what's going to happen. That's what they're doing now. And it goes back to what Rachel said about, show, don't tell. They're going to put that in as many scenes as possible, but there's going to be very little writing about it.
So John, sorry, because you raised this one as well. If I throw this to the actress on our panel and said, Rachel, if you saw that dialogue, you are wild, you are brave, you are rude, and it's a woman talking to a woman, do you think there's an underlying thing going on there?
Yeah, quite possible.
I found the wild one, the word wild, you are wild. And I know there could be an element of Unquiet Dead when the girl, Eve Miles, his character as the waitress, was kind of saying, gosh, you're amazing, you Billie Piper, you're as a futuristic woman. And that wasn't two women, fancying each other. It was just respect, wasn't it? So I don't know. Anyway, go on, Rachel.
Although now that I think about it, this is
Layla,
Regency era.
Yeah.
So, like, assuming that this particular character in the blue is not, like an alien or anything like that, whatever that we've seen from the trailer, assuming she's not one of those and she is a genuine Regency lady, to her, the way that Ruby speaks would be wild, brave, and rude. It would be above her station, so to speak, which would be reflective for the time period.
Because she's very down. She's quite working class, isn't she, Ruby?
Yeah.
She's very down to where.
She's
like,
so it is possible.
I guess commoner.
Yeah.
But in a posh region. She's a bit out of place. She wouldn't. If it wasn't for the Doctor, she would not be there.
Of course.
But then,
obviously because of from a different time. But like even if they were in the same time, they're just completely different. It's a bit like again, Lucy Miller and the Eighth Doctor.
Yeah.
Complete opposites. Jesus. Northern working class girl, and he's this kind of eloquent, sophisticated guy.
Have you all listened to the Marion conspiracy on Big Finish?
Not yet.
Okay, so there's. I won't want to spoil it too much for you, then, Cinnamon. But Evelyn Smythe, there's a character called Evelyn Smythe in it, and they travel back to the Tudor times, and the people that she meets are so fascinated by the things that she says and she does. And they're that all in awe, and like they actually comment on it and things like that. So I forgot where I was going with that.
But interesting, Rachel, on that. The two things where she says, I get what you're saying. Where she says though about, oh, this is so Bridgerton. I haven't watched Bridgerton, but I'm assuming that's quite a steamy show, is it? Or am I wrong?
I've never watched it.
Yeah. So I thought it might be referring to that, and I'm thinking there's a scene that we're not seeing there in between, and it comes out there, and she goes, that one's coming onto her, and basically she's like, oh, this is so Bridgerton. But on the
isn't Bridgerton just a Gen Z Downton Abbey? In my impression of it. I haven't seen it either, but that's just how I look at it. It's young people
sort of
in dresses
element or something to it.
Yeah.
There's something special about it to do with that, but I don't know what.
The second thing I would say is that we've talked about it on previous shows, and Brendan, you brought it up earlier.
Yeah.
This is where Doctor Who is trying to copy and reference things now as
Oh no, hold on.
Oh,
John, I always do this, and everyone in the thread. What happens is we've done it. I've done this on 2 shows. I'm trying to get rid of the slide, and I get rid of the speaker. I'm sorry, John.
That's fine. Your plan was actually to electrify the chairs earlier, so I'm glad you went with this one.
It's so slick. It's so slick.
Yeah.
That would be awful. Brendan be up there. Shut up, Brendan. Pressing the button.
Yeah.
Sorry, cancel culture.
Steam coming off my head, you know.
You're a legend in your own bedroom there.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So yeah, no, it goes back to what you were saying about the fact, you know, it's not trend setting anymore. It's referencing a lot more things now, and it's trying to follow certain things that are being done by other shows, and that's where, for me, I always found watching over the years, that's where the TV show you like starts getting to a point where it circles the drain. So it's a shame, but that's where we are
now. Because we mentioned
this is why the 10th is one of my favorites, because it's the 10th Doctor was geeky, he was kind of nerdy, but he was different and he was alien, but like he was cool because of that. And a lot of the time, the Doctor didn't care what other people thought of him.
Exactly.
He was an alien. That's how it was. He never bothered. So to see him, you know, and that's why I like that, because I kind of, obviously not that I feel you need to relate. I mean, you can relate to someone, but I don't need to see myself on screen. But, you know, as a geek myself, to see the Doctor be so unapologetically nerdy about things and the way he would speak at 1,000 miles per hour.
Yeah.
You know, I like that. So when although I don't mind all the babes and the honey, I kind of found that, again, I don't mind it. I will say though that it's a bit like obvious. It's a bit simple to have him, you know, just say modern day lingo. And again, when we talk about stereotypes as well, you know, he is a gay man, isn't he? Of having a gay man be all a bit, I guess, fairy is what is the terminology, isn't it? You know, a bit more suave with the words, saying things like honey. You know, not every gay person is.
Don't get me wrong. You know, Shooty Gatwa, you know, my bread's buttered a certain way, but Shooty Gat was an attractive guy, you know, and I wish I had his pecs, quite frankly. But, you know, when I see that bit at the end of it, that doesn't make me think Doctor. That makes me think, oh, it's Wesley Snipes about to do another action movie. Right. You know, that's kind of the vibe I get from it, really.
My theory on this is, with the Bridgerton reference, is, since I had just watched the Rose episode again, is I didn't understand in 2005 why the 9th Doctor was in the kitchen and he was reading through like Celebrity Quick magazine saying, oh, she gets pregnant, she leaves him. The Doctor, who has the universe on his shoulders, would not be bothered about celebrity gossip. That's RTD.
Yeah.
And then,
it was something like, oh, that won't work. She's gay and he's an alien.
That's
and then, of course, I think Bridgerton is I find it funny that the panel are saying they haven't watched it. I haven't watched it. But I think RTD thinks, because the media people think Bridgerton was a great success, and most of us didn't watch it. And so they're talking to themselves. Now, this actress here, and please tell me if I'm wrong, Golda Rochoval or something like that. Now, she was Queen Charlotte, wasn't she? And she was in Bridgerton, apparently, and she's now in Doctor Who.
Wait,
and
she was Queen Charlotte?
That's what I'm reading here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Bridgerton was some sort of like...
she was in Queen Charlotte, sorry. She was in Queen Charlotte.
Okay.
I thought you said she played Queen Charlotte, which wouldn't surprise me, because I think that was what was special about Bridgerton or something. They switched roles around for people and races or something.
Yeah, no, they have done. I understand with Bridgerton, they have done that. So this is a casting announcement, as a lot of people have seen, as Doctor Who gears up for its highly anticipated global premiere. Yeah, America first. The episode titles have now been revealed for the season. Yes, we know that, and we'll discuss them in a moment with our theories. Up first is Julianne Robinson directing Space Babies, and in that is Golda Rochoval, who was in Queen Charlotte, a Bridgerton story, who joins Doctor Who as Jocelyn, who the Doctor and Ruby collide with in their first adventure in the TARDIS together. And, you know, it's amazing to get Golda's talents because of Bridgerton, and it's been an absolute joy to invite her to the good old RTD. You know what he's like. Okay, so... does anyone know her? Does anyone know of this actress? And that's not passing aspersions. I just don't know. I haven't watched Bridgerton, so I just don't know.
Can I just say something on this as well? And I really hope this doesn't happen, because, again, going back to Rachel in a previous episode was saying about show don't tell. What I've seen in the trailer, especially the Bridgerton episode, you see different people of different races in colour dancing in the background in the dance hall. Okay, that's fine, but I don't want suddenly to it be plastered all across the 8 stories that you're going to be lectured about it, because that's very much the case of show don't tell. You don't need to tell in that point. You've done it. It's there. So don't bring it up. Don't make a big thing of it. Just tell good stories.
Yeah.
I'm off on one tonight.
I know.
Were they bragging about getting
No,
1,800 more followers on social media? Like, it was a big number?
Yeah.
Right, well, let's look at the titles for a moment, because we had some theories, and as you know, when you have theories, you need to link them up to what's going on. So let's have a look at what was... Now, first of all, we've had a big trailer, well, 2 big trailers, and we've also had their mini 3-second trailers. And so what we saw, as you know, was the first 4 episodes. Every half hour they were released. So you had the Space Babies one, and then you saw the shadow of some sort of werewolfy... Well, it was worse than a werewolf, wasn't it? And worse than what was in Brandon's kind of house there. And then we had the Devil's Card. Now, I think it was Cliff Maxwell in our thread earlier had said this, and I was just waiting for the moment to mention it. But if I don't get it back up, Cliff, hopefully I get it right. Cliff was talking about this, saying, you know, you're going to get 2 episodes, and the second episode is going to be very musical. Now, in Britain, as you know, the 2 episodes are just before the Eurovision Song Contest. So you're going to have... Is this genius? Is this marketing that they've put the 2 episodes together and the second episode is all musical? Excuse me.
Brendan, can I just jump in there? And I'm not backing it, but I'm going to just give you possible credence for your SUTEKH theory. Top left, next to Space Babies, there's a symbol. Is that the Eye of Horus?
Whoa, is it?
Is that the eye?
Oh, do you know, I saw that all the time, John. Thanks for reminding me.
I always try and help you out, mate. I always try and help you out. You know that. I've got your back.
Don't encourage him.
It could be. No, but the thing is, we could be onto something here. Or I tell you what, stay in the thread, everybody. We're going to go deep dive here. Could it be Baby's version of Egyptian hieroglyphics? I can't say hieroglyphics, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Oh, and the 70th. Oh, yeah. Bam, bam, bam. We might as well say boom. So, yes, that's interesting, isn't it? Obviously, 3 of those stories are Russell Davies, and boom is Stephen Moffat. Just to remind you of the other 4, Dot and Bubble, Rogue, Legend of Ruby Sunday, and The Empire of Death, which I've made a big play on with SUTEKH, and Rachel has referenced Empire of Death and Legend of Ruby Sunday as well with her theories. Now, has anybody, when they see the titles and they see the running order, has anybody got any further versions of narrative arcs or characterization that they're thinking of? Because we know what RTD does. And when I looked back at his first season in 2005, he follows the same pattern, you know, he does. For example, in the Rose episode yesterday, I was saying, you saw then, he loves to do that radio transmitter thing. He did it in Journey's End, when the TARDIS was trying to reach out to all the mobile phones. You had the Torchwood radio emitter. Oh, he does it all the time. Radiant's Lantern. So, has anyone got any theories when they now know these 4 episode titles? Has anyone got anything out there they want to share with us?
I wondered if boom might have been sort of like the end of the universe, end of the world or something.
Like
I think, sort of. It just reminded me of the second episode in Christopher Eccleston's. I think it also might be a bottled episode.
Yeah, the interview I mentioned, Stephen Moffat said he was trusted to do an isolated episode while Russell Davies got on with writing the end to the season. So basically, he's a trusted writer. Of course he is. He's quite accomplished. So just write me an episode to fill a gap, so to speak. Yeah?
So basically, the Fitzroy boys are controlling this. I mean, I understand I don't agree with it. I'm starting to see things a lot more like what Timescales complains about, with them having just too much power in one guy. But look, only one episode is not written by Davies or Moffat. And then this other lady, Kate Herron, she's some director or something. Or no, wait. Well, she is a director, but it says she wrote it with whoever Brianni Redmond is. But I'm just surprised at how little they brought anybody in. Also, like, remember even in Revive 2, like if they used one of Paul Cornell's old comic stories or like an old book story, they would give them credit as the writer for that episode. You ain't seeing none of that in here either. So, I mean, it's all RTD and then some.
Should I give you a very very disappointing prediction for the 2 years time?
You are the Valeyard tonight, John. You are.
I am. I would say within the next 2 years, Russell T Davies will step down.
Yeah.
And the new producers will be the two that have come over from Loki, and Disney will have more influence.
That's who that is, Kate Herron and Redmond. That's where I saw them, Loki.
Yeah. So I would say that they will end up taking over the show after Russell T Davies, and he's
I hate to use this word, John, but maybe he's grooming them.
Yeah.
So cultural capture. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's got me getting closer to the exit door, because I haven't watched Loki and I have no interest in it. And garbage. How dare you disagree with me? SUTEKH, nah, it will be walking down.
What's possible?
Yeah, I know, garbage. You're going to remind me. You'll take a screenshot of this. I know it. I know. So, I mean, my big theory for the end of the series was what I said. The Dot and Bubble one. Can I take you to that panel for a moment?
Weird
so Dot
title.
and Bubble. Let's just refine, because I found this an interesting little one, Dot and Bubble, and I've just got to find it on my little kind of list of goodies. Let's have a look.
Is this going to be the Anu and Bernard, make Britain better episode?
Do you know what?
Well, I'm gonna come to you. I'm gonna come to you first, Cinnamon, and then Brandon, because I don't know. I'm gonna go to you initially. I don't know why. And please, everyone else in the panel, don't feel I'm going for this kind of, they know all about online and all the rest of it. I don't know. When you see this Dot and Bubble, did you see the 3-second trailer? It was actually in color, of course. And you had all them people, and it was all, and then, of course, we know that Dot and Bubble is those weird tractator type creatures. And then you see them. And if you look on the left, it's got instructions. It's a bit like those games when you had, what was it? Pikachu, what was it? Pikachu, what was it? The
Pokemon.
Japanese Pokemon,
yeah.
when they all had to go and do a treasure hunty type thing, didn't they? And is this a kind of catfish? Because when I look at this, it reminds me of that. Was it a Channel 4 program when everybody lived in an apartment block and blindly talked to each other? And I get this impression. Dot and Bubble. I'm just wondering whether this is all kind of iconography, versions of emoticons or emojis or something. And they're trapped. I also get the impression that these are just an episode that looks as though it's a one-off, where these things do what they want, but they're working for somebody else. Anyway, that's me throwing a few theories in there. Where do you want to go with that, Cinnamon?
I just ended up finding myself a bit disappointed with some of the titles, to be honest. I mean, some of them are very DuckTale, Empire of Death, Rogue, I guess. But, like Space Babies is a bit like, I feel it's silly saying that actually out loud.
But does Dot and Bubble, in your language, does Dot and Bubble hint at anything to do with online, social media, or anything? Because I'm sat here ignorant. I just don't know.
Not really. I look at this as
Morse code.
The Anu and Bernard one. This one where you had all the shop, all the building. It was all the it seemed like there was a sort of, again, a party that make Britain better kind of thing. And I guess these are some of these woodlouse creatures are somehow tied into that. The actual name Dot Bubble gives nothing away to me.
I just look at
it's certainly the most mysterious one, isn't it?
It makes me think of dating. I feel as though this is it's going to be a skit on online dating, because I looked at that picture with all those people, and I remember when I was at work and I'd go and get photocopying done, and the lady in the photocopying room would swipe left and swipe right, and she'd show me all the fellas she was swiping either way on, and it was quite fascinating to watch. And then there's the whole concept of catfishing. And then there's the whole concept of online dating and people lying to each other
Possibly.
and then being trapped. Because I still go to that, which is, whose viewpoint is that to see the forward and the arrow? Is somebody looking through their phone and then they get captured?
Yeah, I mean, you're right, Brendan.
Perhaps it's a bit similar to the Bells of St. John, because that was a little bit similar. It was all about, technology and, there was people's faces all over screens and, capturing people and stuff. Maybe, again, we were talking about Doctor Who, borrowing or being influenced by other genres. Maybe this is the Black Mirror episode, that you were saying there, everyone living in their own little box. It's very dystopian kind of. Maybe they're going down that. Wouldn't surprise me.
What do you think, Brandon?
I'm just kind of disappointed with myself. I'm really kind of beating myself up at how stupid I am. I never even considered this. Like but all the stuff you got from that's pretty deep. I think you might be onto something. It just looks like lice to me. The little 3-second thing, I didn't catch it. I didn't really pay much attention to these. I saw them because they posted them each individually on Twitter. But one of the unfortunate drawbacks of them kind of killing some of my enthusiasm for it is I don't pick up on certain things that maybe I would have before. But I mean, it's whatever. It wouldn't surprise me because didn't they say they were going to do something that was kind of Black Mirror-y? It wouldn't shock me. They've gone from innovation to imitation, and Doctor Who, if anything, was an innovator, and this is not that to me.
I'd love to hear a producer say they're copying Doctor Who. Do you ever hear anybody say?
Well, we had that for a while, didn't we? We had shows like Primeval, and
and it happened some in comics.
And we had like shows like Merlin as well, which was different genre, but those kind of shows around. I mean, and those are shows that I watched as well. I watched those shows like Primeval, and I thought I liked that, and shows like the Merlin one with the guy that was in Midnight. And shows like of that nature. Those were quite all the rage back then. Well, from my impression of a 10-year-old anyway.
So
I remember watching those shows.
What about the elephant in the room? I mean, Jinx Monsoon was mentioned earlier, and I am going to be careful because I want to not prejudge yet. When I was talking to Rachel earlier, because she's in the acting game, and I wanted to ask her about this, which is the 1.5 seconds we saw from the dialogue. I didn't know whether I was watching Panto or what. But then again, as Rachel said, you need to see more. You need to see more. And I just don't like the garb. And I'm not judging the gender politics or anything. I'm judging the fact that, to me, I'm looking at a pantomime costume and a pantomime hairdo for Cruella de Vil.
Wow, I thought it was very Winifred Sanderson.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously that's not against Jinx herself. But Bette Midler, Winifred Sanderson kind of thing, costume-wise.
It does look kind of like Bette Midler, doesn't it?
I just want to start going like, I put a spell on you or something like that,
Yeah. It's larger than life, and this fantasy series, isn't it? It's either comic book, as TARDIS Spider says. We're going bigger. It's just I didn't like Doctor Who in the late 80s when it went larger than life. And
this feels like that, like around the McCoy era of things, maybe. But I mean, I like all of that stuff myself. I know it's a little different for everybody else.
I hated this. This made me cringe beyond belief. It seems very Disney. Like she looks like one of those like that. I can't remember her name, but that Disney woman. Like a lot of the female villains in Disney movies, and it's the whole way she says, "Oh, you called!" Like, oh my god, she's gonna get on my tits already.
Guys, basically the way we're describing this is they're trying to be unique, but in doing so, actually coming across as generic.
I think again, this goes back to the fact that they're in their own little bubble universe. These producers and writers. Timescales is right where he says there's probably not writers. There's just one executive producer that's calling the shots on all of it. But it's just. Look at us, look at how great we are. This is definitely what the general viewing public is going to lap up, but it's not going to lap that up at all because people just tune out of it, and it's quite right that it looks like it's going to be a musical episode they tune out of.
Yeah, and you did have a theory on that, Rachel, didn't you? You were talking about the musical episode, and they'd have to fight or sing.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I'd almost forgotten about it. I've got it written down here, and I totally forgot. Yes. Okay. So obviously, we don't know what Jinx is like acting ability wise. So that will remain to be seen. But I do know that she can sing. And I do know that she can sing very well, which made me think, especially after I saw the trailer, that they're going to have a Dr. Jinx sing off potentially, or she will sing at some point in the episode, and maybe even as some kind of dance off. And there was also this theory that I had. I actually think possibly, has anyone seen We Will Rock You? No? No? Okay, it's all right. You're not missing much. But there's a character in that called the Killer Queen, and she basically bans all kinds of rock music. And the only way to save the world is to do rock music and sing We Will Rock You. What is it? Is there a potential that this is going to be something sort of similar? Like Jinx's character is going to use music to control the world, or try and ban music for the world, or manipulate music in some way, and the only way that they can defeat Jinx is by using music back at her, which would result in a sing-off.
Now
I don't know.
And Rachel, when RTD was talking about, that was it. I did the documentary. I did a very early show about that documentary, and when he walked around the set, Russell Davies was explaining. He showed you the set for Abbey Road Studios. This very picture, not the picture, sorry, but that set. I'll show you again. There, that set. And when he explained to the documentary maker, he said, "There's going to be a massive battle here." Right, and I thought, he did. He said there'd be a battle.
He was being metaphorical,
and it might be, I think Rachel's right. It'll be a battle of music. It reminds me of some American teen comedy shows where they have a battle of the bands.
It looks like High School Musical too. My oldest kid used to watch on like Nickelodeon or Disney or whatever it was on.
See, Rachel made really good points there, and it goes back again to it's not trend setting anymore; it's copying. Because if they are going to follow that potentially that Queen musical, they've copied something again. They're not coming up with anything fresh. They're just flicking through a catalogue and basically going, "Oh, that'll be all right. We'll copy and paste that into the show." That's where we are. Does it look like Doctor Who? That's the question I'd ask people. I mean, for me, no. Yeah.
As everybody says, they seem to be taking it away deliberately from what Doctor Who was, and then saying, but it always changed. That argument we've already discussed. Instead of actually saying, how do we make a very successful franchise just a bit more updated? That's all. It does have to change with the times, so to speak. Although Stephen Moffat did say, don't do an echo chamber.
Which it did fantastically for a while. With the 2005, when it came back with a bang. It was no longer that, like I said, that ridicule show that was joked about, Pepperpot Daleks, or being embarrassing, or to call yourself a Doctor Who fan, or to say it out publicly. By the time it came back in 2005, the BBC didn't even back it. We all know apparently that they were they didn't even want to, they were well in the back because they wouldn't be attached to it if it did fail. Well, that was they'd be attached to it, but you get my point. They weren't really hands on in that first season, and they only really got grasp on it when it got popular, and it got popular because it was done well. It came back and it had good effects for its time. So that still holds today, really. It was written well, good. The acting was even better, probably. It was Doctor Who as it could be in a modern era. So it was changed, but that was the right change because it was a change that needed to happen for the show. Whereas this is a change more stylistically. This is a change that didn't really need to happen. Whereas before, it was a change that had to happen because you couldn't have had Doctor Who in the 80s and then continue the exact same formula into the 2000s. It had to work.
The 1980s, I love Ken Dodd as a stand-up comic. But when he was picked and he was wearing all this pink glittery garb, I was just wondering where we were going. Sheila Hancock, I love Sheila Hancock. But they made her a parody of Margaret Thatcher.
Yeah.
And now we get to Davina McCall. So maybe we are going back.
And there were elements of the late 1980s. I thought, you you're losing that kind of authenticity. It's just
what Cinnamon just said as well, which is spot on again. I'll contrast 2005 to now. Okay, so 2005, you had some great trailers that they launched to get people on board for the new series. That was the first thing. The shows were well written, and the Daleks, who people had always, for quite a few years, had made jokes about Daleks. They can't get upstairs, even though they'd done it in the 80s. What they did is they brought back that first story with that one Dalek, and they just showed how ruthless and how dangerous just one Dalek is. Then they did the finale with 500,000 of them. Now, the Children in Need special, or the comic release Children Need special, they basically devalue the Dalek by making a joke about the plunger. They devalue Davros. You have Russell T Davies, who's attacking fans online. So that shows you the differences between 2005 to now, whereas then they respected the audience or the potential audience. They actually made sure that they believed the world they were building. Now they're making jokes about the creatures. They're attacking the fans. They're doing things that are completely foreign to what Doctor Who was. So that's where we are, and that's where you end up getting somewhere where you don't get the return that you'd expect from the audience. So that's my take on the two different.
I think their motivations
the eras
as well, because whereas in 2005 they spent all the time trying to bring Doctor back, but bring it back well. Get people talking about this old show that was back on 15, 16 years ago that then became a little bit of a laughing stock.
Exactly.
There's your mom. I didn't notice that.
A whole new generation of children to watch it, and it's like that. All the intentions there, and the whole even Russell himself and all the production team, they wanted to bring Doctor Who back, but big. Whereas now, it seems like they want to bring Doctor Who. I mean, they'll argue that they are making it bigger now, but it seems like the motivations are in a different place because now they're trying to make it fit current day trends. And, it's all about trying to represent society, and it's like it shouldn't be about that. It should be just about Doctor Who.
It's becoming. I know. I was trying to think. I do prefer this second trailer to the first one. I don't know why, but I do. But I suppose it didn't have the skidding.
Was it shorter?
It was shorter, but it didn't have the skidding TARDIS that really is worrying me about what they're going to try and do.
They must have got a lot of complaints.
but when you look at this shot, for example, on the left, you can see her. Is that her foster mother?
It is. I didn't notice that, so you put that up, man. That is her.
Unit headquarters.
Yeah, because Kate Stewart. That's Kate Stewart in the background in the red shirt. So
you don't even need a pass anymore.
No.
Top secret security. Anyone can just get in there.
Yeah.
You know what's happened is something's happened to Ruby, and our foster mother's going, "I'm coming."
Yeah, and this fool already promised that he's going to get her back, which is something the Doctor should never. We've already established this. The Doctor should never promise in certainty that he's going to bring you back, because there is no guarantee. Like, I was thinking about this earlier, because I know all of y'all have been like, "Oh, wouldn't it be cool if the Doctor was real and he picked me up?" Right? Well, it would be like every adventure, like, "Where's Brandon?" "Oh, he's back in the TARDIS." I would never come out. I would just be in the TARDIS all the time. Man.
You'd be Tegan.
Yeah. But I was going to say as well, this goes back to something that Brendan said before about the TARDIS and short hops. In the original series, the Doctor couldn't get to short hops. If he tried to go a few feet away, it ended up on the moon.
Yeah.
Now he can come back, drop them off, the next day and go. Now, we didn't do it in Eccleston's era, but now he can go, "Oh, okay, yeah, we'll get you home tomorrow. You have a cup of tea with your mum." That wouldn't happen in the previous series.
I will say that I think with that, I would chalk that up to us. I would have thought, because we did see a lot of that, didn't we, in Classic Who? A lot of, I can't really pilot the TARDIS. But I would have thought now, after how many incarnations, surely now he'd have a grasp on being able to fly the TARDIS. That's how I like it anyway. I have to see maybe in finally learning.
I respect that.
I like that, because I thought the first couple of Doctors, he didn't even pass his license to fly the TARDIS. I think he said in one episode.
Right, yeah.
I think he just stole. Yeah, he did just steal it. So I can imagine him stealing a car.
One person stealing a car supposed to be flying.
Okay, well, how do I drive it? And then maybe eventually learning. I kind of like that, because then maybe I wouldn't say character development, but I like that maybe he learns how to do it over time, and eventually gradually gets better throughout the regeneration.
Well, like he
and
says
now he is
there,
confident to do that.
well, it's like he says here, Cinnamon. He says, "Let's have a random landing." It used to be everything was a random landing. Now
Right,
it's a
yeah.
special.
And
It's a
I
treat.
think he says it in a Big Finish story as well, maybe, if I remember correctly. Oh, he says, like, do you know what? Like, I missed it. I think he says something like, I missed. He
He's
basically says, like, oh, I miss it.
Yeah,
How
classic was much
yeah,
more
I think he
haphazard in a
basically
good
says, I
way.
miss how it used to be. Oh, I just land anywhere. Now, it, like, you kind of. I think he pressed some
Yeah.
sort of setting on it. I think to
Because
maybe it's Sheridan.
because that's
Smith's
the first
character.
that's the first Doctor's era. Yeah, and it's Ian and Barbara are desperate to get home, but they cannot get home.
He has no
because
way,
they keep
or
going anywhere. And I miss that. It's just, you know, random adventures everywhere. You
I'm
know,
50-50
When he's
on
not
it, John.
sabotaging the TARDIS to stop them from landing, stop them from leaving.
yeah, yeah.
Now,
Brilliant. Yeah.
now, I'd already prepared the slides, Brandon, but and so I'm close to it on the right, am I? You wanted to show a shot. It was a dark shot of Shooty's Doctor that you picked out. I was wondering why you did that. What was it?
Was it the
telling
one
you?
where he was crying? Is it this one on the
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Okay.
he's crying there, yeah.
There's nothing wrong with a man crying or showing emotion or anything like that, but I guess to me, I don't want to use that word. It kind of, I noticed it because I know who's writing it and kind of what he's doing right now. And so I guess I kind of, I would say I cringed when I saw that, because I was like, oh, what stupid thing are they going to pull to make him so upset that he's going to cry? You know what I'm saying? That was all. It was fairly shallow reason, but that's what I was thinking.
What I was thinking, Brandon, when I saw the tears, I used the side shot of his tears for my thumbnail for this tonight. I wonder if his tears is partly to do with either Rachel's theory about Ruby cannot be brought back, and as you said, Rachel, that maybe there's an episode, maybe episode 7, when he tells the story and breaks the fourth wall of who she was, because I'm hoping the Doctor's tears are through frustration, a kind of, you know, what a shame, what a tragedy.
He cries a lot, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He's
cried in the Christmas episode. He's tearing up here.
Shock.
Well, he's just realised he hasn't ironed his trousers. That's why.
You realise
this
him
is somewhat aloof, a little bit more removed.
That's why the same clothes one.
Is that shock? Would you say that's a shock?
Yeah,
kind of look in his eye.
Yeah, that's like shock and horror, probably.
Yeah.
I think that might be from the episode, the SUTEKH episode as well. They're billing it now, from where he stood on the bomb or whatever, when he talked about shattering again. Dust. I'm SUTEKH. I leave nothing but dust and darkness, and I find that good.
I'm willing it on.
And he mentions dust. So again, who knows? Look at Brendan. But you know, maybe it looks like a trauma, because although I don't mind, again, and I've been on a few streams and a few people aren't happy with this Doctor being scared. We see him jump or being surprised a little bit in the Space Babies episode. I don't mind him being more human. You know, we've had more human-esque Doctors where they've showed their emotions more. And you know, although we don't see him bawling his eyes out, but you know, we've seen a few moments where it was more sad, not necessarily crying, but you know, like when the goblins changed a timeline or whatever, and they took the old baby Ruby, and then you see how different, and it was really good actually, because I love that, because it got really dark, and you see Ruby's foster mother talking about, you know, oh, I'll just do it for the money, and then you see even the lighting of the episode, it all goes grey and dull. The lighting changes, so it's a good directorial choice, I think, when they did that, and you see him tear up a little bit there, but it was more, you know, him sad because he knows how things should be, and he sees that he knows that this woman is a good woman, and he knows how kind she is, but then he sees how horrible and like cold she can be, and then, you know, and whatever's happening here, whatever's made him upset again, you know, whether it is SUTEKH or somebody else,
14th Doctor.
Yeah, maybe he's realised who he's going to regenerate into next. And
maybe the 14th Doctor goes crazy, becomes the Valeyard, and then teams up with SUTEKH.
Yeah,
maybe
everybody wins.
I don't know.
I do think I think it's somewhere close to Rachel's theory, caused by SUTEKH, yes, which is either she has changed history and he cannot change the rules back. Except the slogan for the series is everything is possible if you change time. But whether she changed time with the butterfly stamp or whether he changed time by bringing the butterfly back to life and then other things unravel. I mean, basically the Doctor maybe bringing the butterfly back to life actually kills her later on. I think the tears are the Doctor feeling all powerless that he cannot save Ruby Sunday. And that's I'm linking there therefore with the Rachel's. And go on, John. Well, this pic I've got up here.
Yeah, so the one on the left, you know, the one you showed earlier where you thought it was the monk in the background or a shadowy figure.
Yeah.
That image on the right-hand side was also in the same picture.
Same tree, isn't it?
So where you've got the TARDIS, yeah, I'm wondering if it isn't a tree. And I'm wondering what it is. It almost, and this is me going full sci-fi, it reminds me of 50s War of the Worlds with the, you know, spaceship. You had the eye came out the top of it.
Well,
but that's in the first one you showed, and it's there. So I don't think it is a tree.
Well, let me just say, right, stay everybody in the thread and everybody watching. We're looking obviously at the left-hand shot. The TARDIS is either materializing or dematerializing. Hooray for that! And then there's a very bent tree, and we know how the British Isles can have terrible weather. But if I just actually then take us a little bit further back, and I've got to click a few buttons to get there. Did we note we haven't mentioned one of the episode titles, and so if I click away, we should do a musical here and fill time. But basically, I'm just about to show it. Here we go. The 73 yards. Well, is that a twisted tree? I don't know. I mean, could that be linked to that? Is it another TARDIS? You know, in my other review of the first trailer, I wondered whether the monk with the lamppost dematerializing, the monk could have a very good chameleon circuit, of course, and he appears as a tree, he appears as a lamppost, and all the rest of it. So, as you were saying, John, I won't go back; it's too far away. But I know what you mean. That tree might be distinctive. It's not the same shape, I agree, but it looks gnarled, doesn't it?
Yeah. And this is where we'll get to the end of the series, and then someone will say to me, "It was just a tree after all." And I'll be like, "Okay."
We know it's not a real tree; it's right on the edge of a cliff. So I imagine they've put something there. But do you know what? I'm quite looking forward to this fourth episode of this 73 yards, because Russell, again in a previous interview, said that this is one of the if this was one of the best things he's ever written. And again, so he's hyping it up massively as the best thing he's ever written. And I think they also said in the Doctor Who magazine that Shooty at one point, I think towards the end of the episode, maybe it is another Doctor moment, but it says like he delivers this most powerful scene, and Shooty's apparently really amazing in this scene, and you know everyone on the set was just like clutching their pearls, you know, in awe. So I'm actually quite looking forward to whatever that one is, because they're really intent on hyping that one up, and it looks to be quite a creepy, disturbing episode.
A lot of fans have said,
which are always my favourites.
As I've said, 73 yards might hint at the distance you have to keep away from the monster. Now, thinking of Rachel's theory about Ruby Sunday, I just want to throw this quotation up. This is again from Millie Gibson, and she said, okay, the secrecy around the forthcoming episodes, well, we all know the rules, but then she said, Ruby has a relationship with the Doctor that I don't think the audience has necessarily seen before. She really humanizes him, blah, blah. Yeah, we know. But neither one, she goes, there's a hidden secret with Ruby that rolls throughout the whole series. Now, now, could that be your theory that the big secret is she's a space baby? The big secret is she's something else. The big secret is she knows she's changed time and she's got a big job to do. She can't tell everybody in the human race that she has to save them, because she does say in the trailer, we've got a job to do. And she also says, I know now why I'm here, or something like that, doesn't she? Rachel, I'll let you go first, and then I know John's going to ask you a question. But Rachel, what do you reckon? Is this the secret, do you think?
It could be. I mean, you never know. It could be something completely like mundane, and then it could be something completely mind-blowing. You just never know with Doctor Who. Did you hear me all right there?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can. John, what was your question?
On that last shot where we were seeing the cliff top and the TARDIS, Rachel, I know from your channel at the weekend when you were looking at stuff, and I think you mentioned the Eden Project, and I think there's a clip in it with the Dome City.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Do you think that's the same episode then? That the two are the same episode, because you've got you've got a dome, almost like a dome city with, what is it, like countryside around it? Do you think that's the same episode, or that's the one? Yeah,
same episode as
the one on the cliff top with the TARDIS, and the one I thought was a sci-fi thing, but could well be a tree.
It could well be. I did wonder.
I think it might be the one with the butterfly.
Yeah. I thought this might be Dot and Bubble, actually.
That makes sense. I think I'm seeing a bubble here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But I mean, I didn't put that together originally. I mean, it could be, but I thought maybe it was with the butterfly and the dinosaurs originally.
Yeah.
But then it could be the one with the cliff top, because it is like, well, it's a lot of foliage.
The other thing, Rachel, I know I was thinking, which episode is this? There is such a thing as a bubble galaxy, isn't there? And is there such a thing as a dot galaxy? I'm just trying to think if I've got it right with astronomy. That I don't know. You know what I mean? There's. I'm trying to guess. If it's not the internet one that I was thinking, the dating one, Dot and Bubble, I was thinking, are there little mini pocket universes? Blah blah blah. Anyone in the thread, a keen astronomer?
Yeah, there's something called a dot galaxy.
Okay.
Dot white. I don't know if I've quite got it right. Dot white galaxy or something. I'm just looking it up right now. Galaxy dots. Yeah.
If I'm right on that, Rachel, and I'm right on SUTEKH, I'm doing the lottery.
Yeah. Will you give us a cut?
Buy me a ticket.
Yeah, and give me 300 subscribers as well. Oh yes, I haven't said that, folks. I tell you what, you're all watching me like, getting away with murder, you lot. Yes, can you remember Kalmar? Oh yeah, I do my research, you lot. While we're thinking about Kalmar, and you're going, oh gosh, I'm glad he didn't ask me in the quiz on Rose. In State of Decay, he was one of the rebels. Look at that hairdo. He's in denial, isn't he? I mean, honestly,
totally.
What are you trying to do? But as I always say, we are such a philanthropic channel. Our subscriptions aren't for me. Oh no, that would be greed, and that would feed ego. No. Our subscriptions, as you know, I can turn into galactic credits, and those galactic credits can do good in the universe. And with Kalmar, I think he needs a new hairdo. So we could buy him money to get his hair done like that, maybe, or like that. Or do you know what? He might look not bad like that. I mean, I think it's possible that we could really help him out. So, just in case you're watching us and you're thinking, I think I have subscribed, have a check. And ask your mum as well. I was asking my mum today. She hadn't. Oh, I had a word. Oh, my God. So, yes, please. Subscriptions, please. Because we do love giving you this. And we do like talking, hopefully, sense. And I've given you SUTEKH for free. Oh, my God. Rachel's giving you the Space Babies for free. John has given us a rant for free. Cinnamon has just made sure that he's kind of grandstanding on loads of issues. Brandon has brought his dogs. I mean, honestly, we are giving you a money's worth here. So,
and I made my kids subscribe too.
Yeah. So, yes, as I can see, Peter, East Space. Are we going to go there again? We got Adric last time. I don't want to go back to East Space
together.
I want Romana and more of the vampires that they like, the Time Lords fought. Something more about that. That would be cool.
Dot and Bubble. It's a huge bubble of the city. Individuals within it are dots. Yeah, sometimes we all read into the titles and it might be just something dead basic to trick us.
What about, I can't remember if I theorized this in my video. I'm ashamed to say I can't remember what I said now.
Give us an exclusive. Yeah.
What about this is some kind of like incubation thing
for space babies?
No, not incubation. you know, so like
quarantine.
quarantine. Yeah, that's not incubation. Oh, I'll get there in the end. What if this is some kind of quarantine?
Yeah, and interestingly, it's going back to what Cinnamon said. I think he's right about it's the same landscape as the dinosaur one, because at the front it did look like there were like flying pterodactyls or something in the image. So yeah, I think you're both right on that. I think.
And if Rachel's talking about is it some sort of incubation bubble city, well, she's got something wrong with her there. You know, I mean, you know, it's a classic. It's
that's what made me think it wasn't like prehistoric Earth. Because well, if it is just like old Earth with the dinosaurs, then why would this happen? And it's like, oh, even just the place, all the waterfalls, it looked quite alien. So that was alien dinosaurs.
Solarians, we're going to have Solarians, everyone. Let's celebrate it right now.
Do you know this?
Cool. They look like the old ones.
Yeah.
Some of what I've been seeing in the trailer is making me think borrowed stuff from past Doctor Who. This makes me think they're in a quiet place that they are in the Daleks, and then suddenly they go to this busy place, or this like potentially like crazy place or something like that. You know, it's sort of like similar, isn't it? Yeah.
Now, what about this? While we're all thinking and we're really stretching ourselves, thank you, Melanie. What about this one, folks? Was Gallifrey once in a bubble? Whoever put that in a bubble has also put the city in the same kind of bubble. Is this the beginnings of Gallifrey again?
I hope not.
Oh,
don't play with me like that, Brendan.
Maybe make that distinction. I think that's just two places that look the same. I don't know, because Gallifrey's orange, isn't it? And you know,
yeah,
I don't know. I probably personally wouldn't quite subscribe.
I have no idea how he can fix that.
Definitely makes sense when you read it out loud.
I think it would be great actually if, and this is my head going mad, if they went down that concept and they were like, right, to survive the Master doing what he did, some of them escaped and they've made a colony on Earth, but they can't allow themselves to coexist with humans, so they're slowly trying to wipe humans out. That would be a really good twist, and it'd be a good arc. But I doubt that's going to happen. But it'd be great. It'd be great.
Well, look, we've really ruminated here, and I still think I'm the best. I think I've nailed it. And I'm saying this so many times that I know everyone's going to screenshot it and going to tell me in 7 weeks how run I am. I'm going out there. And so basically, I think this is all about, who. It's our good old friend, SUTEKH. I'm sorry, we started the program with that, and I'll finish with good old SUTEKH. Let's hope that they can bring a 91-year-old actor back as well to play him, the voice, of course. And we could have a nice bit of cozy nostalgia. But those have been some fantastic theories tonight, and it's been fun. This is what Doctor Who fans love, is looking in the wrong direction, looking at clues that aren't clues, and just having fun. Rachel, you've done it. Give us a shout out to your channel, please, because you've done this.
Yeah. Hey, so my channel is Chat About It, Don't Chat About It with Rachel. I do Doctor Who, but I also cover a lot of other, somewhat controversial topics. So do give it a little look, please. Thank you.
It's good, and I think you're a hell of a good presenter. It's really
thank you.
It's really
highly
good
recommend it. Yeah.
Now I've got to say that to everyone. But you know what I mean. Culture Papa, come on then, give us a shout out for you.
I acknowledge Rachel as far as my better in that area. That's why I met a lot of people and networked with a lot of people, got to be friends with a lot of people, because it's a lot more fun that way, making friends and learning how to do things. But you can find me at Culture Popper on YouTube. And Saturday, 4 p.m. we'll be reviewing episode 4 of X-Men 97, and then talking about news and pop culture, whatever. So yeah, come check us out.
Another great channel. Yeah, good stuff.
And
good
Cinnamon,
live shows at the weekend.
Very good.
Cinnamon, I'd type it up if you told me. I could type it up, but go on. How do we find you?
Well, you can find me on Cinnamon Toast Crunch. It's same name as my YouTube and my Twitter. But I will say this though: if you think SUTEKH, I reckon my big theory, it's Peter Kay as the Absorbroth. He's the big bad.
Well, it's all possible. And John's kind of ghosting on the internet. He is going to appear. What's your channel called?
Well, I'm working on it at the moment. I'll be launching it in a few weeks' time, and it'll be called Celestial Chronicles, and it'll be reviewing Doctor Who episodes from Unearthly Child all the way up to present day, and also talking about other sort of sci-fi and comic book stuff. So keep a lookout.
And we'll finish with garbage. Yeah, you've called it out. You've Oh God, can you imagine? Right.
RTV works for me now.
Oh God, I know. Right. Thank you very much. That's been fun. Again, great panel, great fun, and it's been a blast. Thank you very much. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Bye.